Phoenix Nights. Chapter 524. Elder Xiao Yunqiu kept her head lowered as she listened to the discussions of the surrounding disciples. She sighed inwardly, knowing that Lin Feng was no match for Wu Xiang. Today, Elder Xiao Yunqiu had already seen too many disciples of Mending Tian Peak suffer crushing defeats. Her seemingly strong exterior was already riddled with scars. She really couldn't bear to see Lin Feng suffer such a crushing defeat. But at that moment, Elder Xiao Yunqiu suddenly realized that the originally noisy square had become absolutely silent. Elder Xiao Yunqiu couldn't help but think sorrowfully, has Lin Feng been defeated? When she raised her head to look at the stage, Elder Xiao Yunqiu's eyes widened. Lin Feng was standing on the stage with a faint smile, while the powerful Wu Xiang was lying on the ground, his body twitching violently. It was obvious that he no longer had the strength to fight. What had happened? What had she missed? Damn, isn't that kid's luck too good? Yeah, that kid was scared silly just now, right? He staggered as he dodged Wu Xiang's attack. He was actually lucky enough to dodge it, and then his punch landed on Wu Xiang's body. Isn't Wu Xiang too unlucky? Very quickly, the sound of discussion that shook the heavens rang out. No one believed that Lin Feng had defeated Wu Xiang with his own strength. They all believed that Lin Feng had just been lucky. Heaven Mending Peak's disciple Lin Feng has advanced. Grand Elder Zhang Quan's voice rang out. Only then did Elder Xiao Yunqiu recover from her shock. Everything was actually true. Heaven Mending Peak's disciple, Lin Feng, had defeated Wu Xiang and advanced to the second round. Elder Xiao Yunqiu was so excited that her hands were trembling slightly. She had even forgotten the last time a Heaven Mending Peak disciple had advanced to the second round. The disciples of the Heaven Mending Peak let out thunderous cheers. Everyone's faces were filled with pleasant surprise. Lin Feng jumped off the stage. Elder Xiao Yunqiu walked over and nodded excitedly. Good job. Rest well and prepare for the second round. Okay. Lin Feng nodded. The first round of the competition continued. After about 10 rounds, it was Tanaka's turn to take the stage. Tian Zhongdao's opponent was Supreme Peak's disciple, Lu Fei. Lu Fei was a disciple of the third heaven of the Martial King realm, the same cultivation as Tian Zhongdao. Whoosh! Lu Fei made his move and headed straight for Tian Zhongdao. Lu Fei's speed was very fast. He arrived in front of Tian Zhongdao in an instant, and punched towards Tian Zhongdao. Everyone saw 9 shadows of fists appearing and blasting towards Tian Zhongdao. This is the 9 killing fist! He punched out, condensing 9 killing fists. It's a powerful secret technique passed down in the Blue Cloud sect. Lu Fei has only been in the Blue Cloud sect for 3 months, but he's already learned the 9 killing fist. His talent is really amazing. That's right, that disciple from the Heaven Repairing Peak will definitely lose. Many people were discussing and felt that the outcome of this battle was already decided. Wait. Just as Lu Fei's powerful attack was about to land on Tian Zhongdao's body, Tian Zhongdao suddenly raised his hands and shouted. What the F***ck, are you serious? He's surrendering without even fighting? As expected of a genius disciple from the Heaven Repairing Peak. Many people were mocking and ridiculing Tian Zhongdao. The few hundred people from the Heaven Repairing Peak had ugly expressions on their faces. Xiao Yunqiu just sighed. She could understand Tian Zhongdao's actions. Maybe he didn't want to put up a meaningless fight. Even though Tian Zhongdao surrendering was humiliating for the Heaven Repairing Peak, Xiao Yunqiu didn't blame Tian Zhongdao. The Heaven Repairing Peak was supposed to protect the new disciples, but it couldn't protect them from the wind and rain. Haha, you know your place. You know you can't defeat me, so you raised your hands and surrendered. Lu Fei stopped punching and laughed in an incomparably proud manner. Who would have thought that Tian Zhongdao would punch him? Bang! His powerful punch landed on Lu Fei's head. Ah! Lu Fei screamed as he fell to the ground and fainted. What's going on? Everyone was dumbstruck. Didn't that guy just surrender? Why did he suddenly make a move and knock Lu Fei out with a punch? This guy. Lin Feng chuckled. Tian Zhongdao's personality was quite fitting. Bastard, you're despicable. Why did you attack when you already surrendered? Asked a Zhiyan Peak disciple angrily. Tian Zhongdao was very excited after defeating Lu Fei, so he stopped stuttering and said, I only said wait, I didn't say I was surrendering. Then why did you raise your hands? Asked a Zhiyan Peak disciple with a gloomy expression. You can't control what other people do. Besides, what's wrong with raising my hands? I just wanted to scratch an itch. After saying that, Tian Zhongdao scratched his right hand with his left hand. Damn, how shameless, how shameless. Many people pointed their middle fingers at Tian Zhongdao. They felt that Lu Fei had been defeated unjustly. The people of Zhiyang Peak were so angry that their faces turned ashen, but they could only suffer in silence. Tian Zhongdao from the heaven-repairing peak wins. Great Elder Zhang Quan's voice sounded. Little brat, don't let me see you. Otherwise, I'll teach you a lesson. The heaven-mending peak disciple who questioned Tian Zhongdao said coldly. That's Wang Gan, right? I heard that he's a third celestial layer martial king, but his spirit is a fire spirit. Once he uses his spirit, he can burn the world with a sea of fire. It's terrifying, whispered a disciple. That's right, it's Wang Gan. He's one of the geniuses this year. There's a good show to watch. If that little brat from the heaven-repairing peak meets Wang Gan, it'll be very interesting. Many people were discussing. Tian Zhongdao jumped off the stage. Xiao Yunqiu was very happy. Even though she also thought that Tian Zhongdao had won because of a trick, a win was a win. The competition was about the results. It wasn't about the process. Congratulations, brother Tian. Yu Ziyang and the others came forward to congratulate him. You're welcome. Tian Zhongdao cupped his fists. Very quickly, the first round of the competition ended and the second round continued. Second round, first battle, Lin Feng from the heaven-repairing peak against Shan Yushuan from the Ji Zun peak. The voice of the great elder rang out. Huh! I'm the first one? Lin Feng frowned and jumped onto the stage. A disciple in cyan clothes also came out from the Ji Zun peak. The Ji Zun peak was the first peak of the Qinyan sect, so the disciples chosen by the Ji Zun peak were all extremely talented. Shan Yushuan was one of the best. Shan Yushuan practiced the rain of sword techniques. His pure qi was as sharp as a sword. Once he used it, it was extremely powerful. Haha, little brat, your luck has run out, said Shan Yushuan while laughing. He walked towards Lin Feng. Everybody was looking at the battle stage, including the elder of the godly soul peak, Wen Hongyun. She wanted to choose Lin Feng, but she thought that Lin Feng's cultivation level was too low, so she gave up on Lin Feng. In the first round, Wen Hongyun had thought that Lin Feng would lose. She hadn't thought that Lin Feng would win. Now that she saw Lin Feng fight again, she couldn't help but look at the battle stage. Xiao Yunqiu also looked at the battle stage. Her hands were shaking. She was very nervous. Even though she knew that Lin Feng's chances of winning against Shan Yushuan were very small, she still hoped that there would be a miracle. Rain of sword techniques, shouted Shan Yushuan in a deep voice. He used the rain of sword techniques. Dense raindrops appeared in the sky and turned into sword qi which shot towards Lin Feng. In a flash, they surrounded Lin Feng. That little brat is finished. Many disciples cried out in alarm. Shan Yushuan's endless rain sword art was indeed quite unique. He didn't use a sword. Of course, those raindrops weren't real raindrops, they were condensed from pure qi. The true qi condensed into the shape of rainwater and transformed into sword qi. That was the rain of sword techniques. Obviously, Shan Yushuan was very cautious. He didn't want anything to happen to Lin Feng again. He wanted to use his strongest attack to defeat Lin Feng in a flash. When they saw Shan Yushuan's rain of sword techniques, everybody knew that Lin Feng would definitely lose. There was simply no way to dodge the densely packed sword qi. Sigh, sighed Elder Xiao Qiu, said Xiao Yunqiu while sighing. Even though he had already predicted the result, he still hoped for a miracle. It seemed like a miracle wouldn't happen. Xiao Yunqiu just hoped that Lin Feng wouldn't get injured. It seems like he's going to lose, said Elder Wen Hongyun while shaking her head. Immediately after, she stopped paying attention to Lin Feng. She was just looking at the battle that was about to end. Let's end this, said Shan Yuxuan with a faint smile on his face. That terrifyingly powerful punch had already smashed down. All right. Lin Feng stepped forwards and threw a punch. Is that little brat crazy? He wants to use his fists to block Shan Yuxuan's attack? Many people cried out in alarm. They looked at Lin Feng as if they were looking at Lin Feng. Lin Feng, don't resist! Xiao Yunqiu's expression changed drastically. If Lin Feng resisted that attack, he would definitely be injured. But it was too late for her to stop Lin Feng. That little brat is just courting death, said Si Kong Emo with a cold smile. Many people were looking at Lin Feng in a cold and detached way. That little brat wasn't only talented, but he was also stupid. At that moment, everyone saw Lin Feng using his iron fists to attack Shan Yuxuan. Asterisk clang, asterisk the sound of metal colliding could be heard. Lin Feng punched Shan Yuxuan's sword qi, which was condensed from pure qi, and broke it apart. The power of the punch didn't decrease as it continued to fly towards Shan Yuxuan. No, that's impossible! Shouted Shan Yuxuan in disbelief. He quickly retreated, trying to dodge Lin Feng's punch. But he realized that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't dodge it. In the next moment, Shan Yuxuan felt a huge force ruthlessly hit his abdomen. He almost fainted from the pain. Shan Yuxuan gave a blood-curdling scream and fell to the ground. His face was deathly pale. Because of the pain, his body was slightly twitching. The crowd that had been venting their anger calmed down at that moment. Shan Yuxuan. He was a genius amongst the new disciples. He had been defeated in one move. Chapter 525. Shan Yuxuan lost. That kid's physical body is too strong. He actually destroyed Shan Yuxuan's Jinqi sword with one punch. Monstrous. He defeated Shan Yuxuan with just his physical body. He didn't even use a single move. Shit. Is that kid using some kind of secret technique to hide his cultivation level? Why didn't the other peaks choose such an amazing person? Heaven Repairing Peak is really lucky. They actually picked up such an amazing person. The entire plaza was in an uproar. In the first round, Lin Feng had defeated Wu Xiang with one punch. Perhaps Lin Feng had been lucky. But what about the second round? Lin Feng had completely crushed Shan Yuxuan. Shan Yuxuan was much stronger than Wu Xiang. Xiao Yunqiu was pleasantly surprised. She had thought that Lin Feng would lose miserably. But now, Lin Feng had defeated Shan Yuxuan with one punch. That was a huge surprise. How is this possible? Wen Hongyun suddenly stood up. Her breathing was ragged. Her huge breasts were moving up and down. She looked very alluring. Wen Hongyun hadn't thought that Lin Feng would be so strong. She had wanted to choose him. Wen Hongyun's intuition told her that Lin Feng wasn't a simple person. But Lin Feng's cultivation level had made her give up on Lin Feng. Now, Wen Hongyun realized that she had missed out on such an amazing genius. She couldn't help but feel regret. If she had chosen Lin Feng, he would have been a disciple of Divine Soul Peak. Junior brother Lin is mighty! The disciples of Heaven Repairing Peak shouted excitedly when they saw that Lin Feng had defeated Shan Yuxuan in one move. They had been too sullen. They had been looked down upon. They had been bullied. And now, a genius had finally appeared in the Heaven-Mending Peak, a true genius. When the surrounding disciples saw the Heaven-Mending Peak disciples celebrating, they wanted to mock them, but in the end, they didn't know how to mock them. This was because the shock that Lin Feng had brought to them had yet to dissipate. Whoosh! Lin Feng jumped off the stage. Elder, I was lucky enough to win the second round. Lin Feng cupped his fists. Elder Xiao Yunqiu wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. She was truly moved. A genius disciple had finally appeared in the Heaven-Mending Peak. She patted Lin Feng's shoulder and nodded slightly. Tian Zhongdao and the others gathered around to congratulate Lin Feng on his victory. The competition continued. Then, the disciples of the various peaks continued to make their appearance. As the competition progressed, the battles became more and more intense. Geniuses emerged from the various mountain peaks. Many battles were exceptionally intense. For example, the number 1 geniuses from the Supreme Peak and the Executioner Peak, Li Mingjie, Yang Jian, Sikong Emo, the Wang brothers, and the others were exceptionally powerful. They were able to defeat their opponents with ease. Heaven-mending Peak disciple Tian Zhongdao versus Utmost Yang Peak disciple Wang Gan. At this moment, Great Elder Zhang Quan's voice rang out. Wang Gan was slightly stunned when he heard this. Then, a cold smile appeared on his face. He leaped out and landed on the stage. They actually drew these two together. Many people were excited. Previously, because Tian Zhongdao had used dishonorable means to win against Liu Fei, the Utmost Yang Peak disciples were furious. And this Wang Gan even said that if Tian Zhongdao met him, he would definitely teach Tian Zhongdao a lesson. In this round, the two of them actually met. They didn't know if it was deliberately arranged, or if it was really a coincidence when they drew lots. But many people felt that it must have been deliberately arranged. Since the top disciples had to avoid the first few rounds, there must be a way to control the drawing of lots for the showdown. Therefore, it wasn't difficult to arrange Tian Zhongdao and Wang Gan together in this round. Whoosh! Tian Zhongdao also jumped onto the stage. Let's see how this kid will resist Senior Wang's attack. Many Utmost Yang Peak disciples sneered. The disciples of the other peaks didn't think Tian Zhongdao would win either. This was because Wang Gan's innate talent was terrifying. He could definitely rank in the top 50 among this year's new disciples. Kid, do you feel fear? Wang Gan walked towards Tian Zhongdao step by step. His voice was extremely cold. In Wang Gan's hand, a fireball was condensing. Because of Wang Qian's martial soul, he could easily condense fireballs to attack from a distance. Wang Gan's opponents couldn't even get close to him before they were hit by his fireballs. They couldn't die. They had to be seriously injured. With the appearance of the fireball, the surrounding temperature also became scorching hot. Wang Gan was the first genius to show his innate talent. The higher-ups of the peaks who were watching nodded. Wang Gan's innate talent was astonishing. What a terrifying chi! Look, the fireball in Wang Gan's hand is getting bigger and bigger. The fireball's power is still increasing. Many people exclaimed in shock. Their faces were full of shock. As for Tianbu Peak, whether it was Elder Xiao Yunqiu or the ordinary disciples, they were all looking at the stage with dignified expressions. Lin Feng rubbed his chin and looked at Tian Zhongdao thoughtfully. I don't feel fear, said Tian Zhongdao. Is Tian Zhongdao so scared that he can't speak? Don't you know? That guy is a stutterer. Sometimes he doesn't stutter, but it's rare. Some disciples were discussing. Since it's that way, I'll show you what fear is. Wang Gan's voice suddenly became serious. As soon as he finished speaking, the fireball in his hand flew out. The fireball shot toward Tian Zhongdao at lightning speed. It contained a terrifying destructive power. One could only imagine how much damage he would suffer if he was hit by it. Soar! Facing the incoming fireball, Tian Zhongdao bellowed in his heart. Following that, everyone saw Tian Zhongdao's body soar into the sky. When he arrived in midair, he successfully dodged the fireball's attack. He's using a Buddhist robe to fly? What an idiot! Even though he can fly with the help of a Buddhist robe, his movements will be restricted in the air. He's like a live target. Many people looked at Tian Zhongdao with disdain. Even Wang Qian thought so as well. The corners of his mouth curled into a sinister sneer. Boom, boom, boom. At the next moment, Wang Qian sent out flaming light balls one after another, blasting them toward Tian Zhongdao. Look, that little boy is going to die from the fireballs! Many people shouted loudly. No, that's not right. Tian Zhongdao isn't using a Buddhist robe because he's not wearing a Buddhist robe. He's using his own body to soar into the air. Lin Feng looked at Tian Zhongdao. He was astonished. He hadn't even reached the yin-yang layer. How could he use his own body to soar into the air? He didn't understand. Lin Feng stared at Tian Zhongdao. The densely packed fireballs were hurtling towards Tian Zhongdao. Moonwalk! Tian Zhongdao continued to shout in his heart. His right foot drew a crescent moon pattern. In the next moment, a powerful force pushed against Tian Zhongdao's right leg. Tian Zhongdao's body shot out and dodged the first fireball. Then, Tian Zhongdao's left leg drew a semicircle. His body shot out again in the air and dodged the second fireball. What's that? Lin Feng was astonished. It's a physical skill, said Zhou Pengquin. He was astonished. The elders from the other mountain peaks could tell that Tian Zhongdao's flight and dodging were not done with the help of his dermic robes, but through his own body techniques. Swoosh swoosh, Tian Zhongdao's speed was too fast. He kept bouncing in the air, dodging Wang Gan's dense fireballs. Then, he arrived in front of Wang Gan. Leg attack! Shouted Tian Zhongdao. He kicked Wang Gan with his right foot. What? Wang Gan didn't even have time to react. Bang! A moment later, Wang Gan was sent flying by Tian Zhongdao. Chapter 526. Wang Qian lost? At that moment, the spectating disciples realized that Wang Qian had actually lost. How did that guy dodge Wang Qian's attack? How did Wang Qian lose? Wang Qian's cultivation is so strong, how could he have fainted from a single hit? Many people were confused. They even felt that Wang Qian's defeat was inexplicable. These disciples didn't understand the power of Tian Zhongdao's soaring, moonwalk, and leg attack. However, the elders could see it. I remember that kid's name is Tian Zhongdao, right? It's a kitchen knife martial spirit. His talent is too poor. Supreme Peak Elder Ning Xingtian shook his head. But the set of physical skills he's cultivating isn't simple at all, Gong Ziming said. Zhou Pengquin said disdainfully. Physical skills are just a small trick. The elders nodded. At their level, they looked down on physical skills. Heaven-mending peak disciple Tian Zhongdao wins! Great Elder Zhang Quan's voice rang out. Junior Tian is mighty! Many disciples from Tian Zhongdao shouted excitedly. Tian Zhongdao chuckled and jumped off the stage. This brat does have some skills. I really underestimated him back then. Yu Zaij and Tian Zhongdao had old grudges. His cold eyes stared at Tian Zhongdao. Old Tian, you're amazing! Lin Feng gave him a thumbs up. Tian Zhongdao scratched his head and said, I was just lucky. Compared to you, Lin Feng, I'm far, far from you. You've learned to be humble. Lin Feng hammered Tian Zhongdao's chest. Elder Qiao Yunqiu was delighted. She hadn't expected Tian Zhongdao to give her such a big surprise. She said, the following matches will be more and more difficult. You can't be careless. Yes, disciple understands. Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao said hurriedly. The grand competition gradually progressed. What shocked everyone was the performance of Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao. They were so steady that they could sweep through their opponents. What kind of luck did Tian Zhongdao have this year? You actually managed to recruit two such powerful fellows. Look at the other mountain elders, their faces are turning green. Anyone would feel depressed if they missed out on such a genius, right? Lin Feng fought 6 rounds with his fists, and Tian Zhongdao used physical skills to defeat his opponents. We can't say whether they're geniuses or not. After all, they haven't shown any other abilities. That's right, having a strong physical body and powerful physical skills doesn't mean that they are talented. If their talent is average, they won't be able to go far on the path of cultivation. Many disciples were discussing. However, Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao had shocked them time and time again. Lin Feng had relied on his iron fist to fight his way into the top 12. Tian Zhongdao, on the other hand, had also made it into the top 12 with his physical skills. Apart from the Supreme Peak, which had 2 spots in the top 12, only the Heaven-Mending Peak had 2 spots in the top 12. When the results came out, almost everyone couldn't believe it was true. In the previous competitions, the Heaven-Mending Peak's disciples had never made it into the top 12. They hadn't even been able to pass the first round, but this time, 2 of them had made it into the top 12. It was unimaginable. The Heaven-Mending Peak's disciples were so excited that their faces turned red. Elder Xiao Yunqiu's face was also filled with joy. It was different from the previous year's disappointment and sadness. This year, Elder Xiao Yunqiu was pleasantly surprised. Elder Xiao Yunqiu had forgotten how many years it had been since he had felt so proud. The top 12 come on stage. We'll draw lots and the winner will enter the top 6. Great Elder Zhang Quan's voice sounded. After that, the top 12 walked onto the stage. They were the Supreme Peaks Li Mingjie and Zhang Lei. Beheading Path Peaks Yang Jian. 5 Elements Peaks Sikong Mo Fog City Peaks Yu Zaij. 4 Extremes Peaks Shui Shui Tao. Zhiyang Peaks Shui Shui Jia. Godly Soul Peaks Gu Shao. Divine Sword Peaks Wuke. Suyu Peaks Zhu Zhenghao. Heaven Mending Peaks Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao. Kid, pray you don't meet me. Sikong Mo sneered at Lin Feng. Oh? Do you think you're very strong? Lin Feng looked at Sikong Mo indifferently. You'll know the difference between us then. Sikong Mo's expression was ice cold and extremely arrogant. Lin Feng nodded and said, I'm looking forward to it. Many people were excited to see Lin Feng and Sikong Mo facing off against each other. If those two really fought, it would be very exciting. To see if Lin Feng was a real genius, they would have to see how many moves Lin Feng could take against Sikong Mo. Soon, the results of the draw were out. Lin Feng against Sikong Mo, Li Mingjie against Shui Wentao. Zhu Zhenghao against Wuke. Zhang Lei against Yang Jian. Shui Wenjie against Gu Shao. Tian Zhongdao against Yu Zaij. Haha, what a good draw. Yu Zaij laughed sinisterly. He looked at Tian Zhongdao with a sneer. Tian Zhongdao frowned but didn't say anything. Sikong Mo looked at Lin Feng gloatingly. It seems like you're not very lucky, said Sikong Mo smiling. Lin Feng ignored Sikong Mo and walked towards the center of the arena. The first round was between him and Sikong Mo. The first round will be between Lin Feng and Sikong Mo. The rest of you, go and get ready, said Elder Zhang Quan. Yes. The other 10 people walked down from the arena and looked at Lin Feng and Sikong Mo. They wanted to see who their future opponents were. At the same time, all the elders looked at Lin Feng and Sikong Mo. They also wanted to see if Lin Feng was really talented. And it was only the strength of his physical body. If it was just his physical strength, he wouldn't be able to go far in the future. Xiao Yunqiu looked at the arena nervously. She was even more nervous than when she had first participated in the competition. She really hoped that Lin Feng could continue to create miracles. However, it was extremely difficult to win against a genius like Sikong Mo. Elder Xiao Yunqiu was very clear about this. 3,000 weak water martial spirit, I want to see how strong your martial spirit is, said Lin Feng. Said Lin Feng looking at Sikong Mo. Sikong Mo looked at Lin Feng disdainfully and said, Who do you think you are? Do you think you can make me use my 3,000 weak water spirit? Boom! Sikong Mo dashed towards Lin Feng. Swoosh! Sikong Mo suddenly split into 7. The 7 Sikong Mo's dashed towards Lin Feng. Oh my god, what kind of technique is that? Which one is the real Sikong Mo? Sikong Mo is too strong. Lin Feng will definitely lose. He won't even be able to withstand a single attack. Many people exclaimed in shock when they saw Sikong Mo split into 7. Xiao Yunqiu's face turned pale. When she saw Sikong Mo's powerful secret skill, she knew that the tiny wish in her heart was about to be shattered. How could Lin Feng be Sikong Mo's opponent? It's over! The 7 Sikong Mo's said coldly. They all dashed towards Lin Feng and attacked him with their fists. It was hard to tell if they were real or fake. Even the elders of the Supreme Peak, Beheading Path Peak, and other peaks gasped in shock. Clearly, Sikong Mo's secret technique shocked and moved them. The 7 Sikong Mos instantly arrived in front of Lin Feng and attacked him. Everyone knew that everything was about to end. Even if the battle had just begun. Boom! At that moment, Lin Feng moved. A terrifying aura burst out from Lin Feng's body. The aura was like a sharp sword piercing through the air. It seemed to have condensed into something solid. Force. This was Lin Feng's force. When that powerful aura spread out, Yi Zichen was shocked. The 7 Sikong Mos were enveloped by it. Bang! Bang! Next, the Sikong Mos exploded one by one. Only the real Sikong Mos was left. He looked at Lin Feng in shock. Sikong Mo, who do you think you are? How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? Shouted Lin Feng icily. He released the strength of 100,000 cultivators of the star of the sky. The powerful aura hit Sikong Mo's body. Bang! Sikong Mo felt as if his body had been smashed by a huge ancient mountain. Wah! In the next moment, Sikong Mo spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. He fell on the stage with a thud and lay there motionless. He was seriously injured by Lin Feng's aura and fainted. Chapter 527. Time seemed to have stopped at that moment. Everyone's face was filled with astonishment. When Hongyun, an elder of the Divine Soul Peak, looked astonished, disbelieving, and annoyed. She had been the only one who had thought that Lin Feng wasn't simple. She was an elder of the Divine Soul Peak and focused on soul cultivation. With a strong soul, one's godly consciousness was much stronger. Therefore, when Hongyun had faintly sensed that Lin Feng was extraordinary, but she wasn't sure. Lin Feng's cultivation level wasn't high, so she had given up on Lin Feng. Only now did Elder Wen Hongyun realize how wrong her decision had been. She even had a faint feeling that she had made a wrong decision. That wrong decision might be the most serious mistake of his life. He won! It was unknown who shouted. Then, the sound of someone shouting filled the entire square. Lin Feng has condensed force! He's a monster! A peerless monster! Many cultivators at the yin-yang layer can't comprehend force, but he's a mere general. He's incredible! Countless people were shouting in astonishment. The elders of the Sovereign Peak, the Beheading Path Peak, and the other peaks were also staring at Lin Feng in astonishment. Everybody was asking themselves the same question: why didn't they choose Lin Feng back then? Deep regret began to pervade the hearts of these elders. They looked back at the geniuses they had chosen. Compared to Lin Feng, they could only be considered trash. Long live Junior Brother Lin! The disciples of the Heaven Repairing Peak started shouting, especially the older disciples. It seemed like they wanted to vent their frustrations over the years. The disciples of the Heaven Repairing Peak were celebrating. Many disciples began to feel a little envious. Good, very good. A peerless genius has appeared in our Heaven Repairing Mountain. Elder Xiao Yinqiu's face was glowing. Lin Feng jumped off the arena. Some people carried the unconscious Sikong Mo away. However, the strength that Lin Feng displayed still deeply shocked the others. This was especially true for the top 12 geniuses. Although Sikong Mo wasn't at his strongest when he fainted, he still had a serious expression on his face. But Lin Feng had used force to oppress Sikong Mo. Sikong Mo had been severely injured. That was enough to explain many things. Who would dare to say that they could win against Lin Feng? Everyone regarded Lin Feng as a great enemy. Great Elder Zhang Quan's voice rang out. The second round, Li Mingjie from the Supreme Peak versus Shui Tao from the Four Extremities Peak. Whoosh! Next, Li Mingjie and Shui Wentao leaped onto the stage. Li Mingjie was once considered the #1 genius. His sea-rising bright moon martial soul was a variant martial soul. As long as it was a variant martial spirit, it usually represented strength. Shui Wentao wasn't simple either. He had a thunderbolt martial soul. This thunderbolt martial soul was one of the most destructive martial souls. The battle between Li Mingjie and Shui Wentao was brilliant. Both of them were geniuses. It was hard to tell who had the upper hand. In the end, Li Mingjie summoned her rising bright moon martial soul to suppress Shui Wentao. Shui Wentao let out a long cry and summoned his thunderbolt martial soul. In the air, terrifying thunderbolts intertwined. The two sides collided again and again. Shui Wentao is young. He doesn't have enough strength and experience. He's probably going to lose this battle, Lin Feng muttered. Tian Zhongdao nodded. He could also see that although Shui Wentao was terrifyingly talented, he was only 16 years old after all. There was a gap between his cultivation and Li Mingjie's. As expected, after half an hour, Shui Wentao couldn't hold on anymore and was defeated by Li Mingjie. Junior brother Shui, thank you for letting me win. Li Mingjie panted slightly. She had used up a lot of energy to defeat Shui Wentao. Senior sister is more skilled. I admire you. Shui Wentao cupped his fists. In the third round, Suyu Peak, Zhu Jinghao vs. Divine Sword Peak, Wuke. Zhu Jinghao's martial soul was the sky-dominating divine blade martial soul. It was the most violent tool martial soul. Wu Ke's martial soul was the heavenly sword. This martial soul was also extremely powerful. Both of them had tool martial souls. The battle was extremely intense. In the end, Wu Ke narrowly defeated Zhu Jinghao with one move. In the fourth round, Supreme Peaks Zhonglei vs. Beheading Peaks Yang Jian. Zhonglei's martial soul was the Azure Dragon martial soul. It was a famous martial soul among the beast martial souls. Yang Jian's martial soul was the three-headed giant spirit martial soul. It was also a terrifying martial soul. Both of them were good at cultivating their physical bodies. This battle could be said to be extremely intense, even the arena was shaken to the point of cracking. In the end, Zhonglei summoned the Azure Dragon. On the other hand, Yang Jian summoned his three-headed Titan martial soul. The two terrifying martial souls collided and the ground shook violently. In the end, Yang Jian was stronger and defeated Zhonglei. In the fifth round, Jiang Peak, Shui Wenjie vs. Divine Soul Peak, Gu Xiao. Shui Wenjie's martial soul was the lightning martial soul. Gu Xiao's martial soul was a strange black mist martial soul. The black mist martial soul emitted a black mist that covered the sky. Once Gu Xiao was covered by the black fog martial spirit, he could hide inside it. However, Shui Wenjie's lightning martial soul suppressed Gu Xiao's black mist martial soul. In this battle, Shui Wenjie won. In the sixth round, it was Tian Zhongdao vs. Yu Zaij of Misty Capital Peak. These two people had a deep grudge. Tian Zhongdao was miserably tricked by Yu Zaij, and even his family heirloom, the Bloodstone Jade, was stolen. When Tian Zhongdao wanted to take revenge on Yu Zaij, he kicked Yu Zaij in the face and sent him flying. How could Yu Zaij, the young master of an aristocratic family, endure such humiliation? He couldn't wait to cut Tian Zhongdao into 1,000 pieces. Therefore, the battle between these two people could be said to be tit for tat. I'm thinking about how to torture you when I step on you. Yu Zaij's face was filled with a sinister smile. Regarding this battle, almost all the elders of the peaks thought that Yu Zaij would win. This wasn't without reason. Tian Zhongdao had always relied on his physical skills to reach the top 12. However, Tian Zhongdao's martial soul was a very low level. Kitchen knife martial soul. Against Yu Zaij, who had the rain martial soul, he was at a disadvantage. Junior Tian is in danger. In the crowd, Jing Ping slightly frowned. The other disciples of the Heaven Mending Peak also slightly sighed. Even though his physical skills were strong, against Yu Zaij's rain martial soul, even the strongest physical skills would lose their power. Boom! At that moment, a terrifying chi was emitted from Yu Zaij's body. Tian Zhongdao and Yu Zaij's battle started. Yu Zaij was the first to attack. He charged straight at Tian Zhongdao. His body was like a dragon. Above Yu Zaij, a giant dragon appeared, bearing its fangs and claws. Dragon attack. Yu Zaij sneered. In a flash, he arrived in front of Tian Zhongdao and fiercely punched towards Tian Zhongdao's chest. Tian Zhongdao didn't react at all. What a terrifying attack! Quickly look, Tian Zhongdao is scared silly. Many people were astonished. His eyes were filled with malice as he looked at Tian Zhongdao. Anger. Endless fury. Yu Zaij even had the urge to kill someone. In front of tens of thousands of disciples, elders, and attendants, he was sent flying with a kick. This was a great humiliation. For a disciple like Yu Zaij, this was an unbearable blow. Boom! Yu Zaij's dantian emitted a terrifying fluctuation. It was obvious that Yu Zaij had started to activate his martial soul. Yu Zaij's martial soul was the rain martial soul. It was an extremely terrifying martial soul. It's raining. It was unknown who said this. As expected, rain fell from the sky. It was drizzling. It wasn't dense enough. It's the rain martial soul, someone exclaimed. Everyone's eyes were on Yu Zaij. This was the rain martial soul. Yu Zaij's ultimate move. Buzz! Suddenly, the ring emitted a cold chi. The raindrops that were falling down started to tremble slightly. Every time they trembled, they seemed to be increasing their strength. Shwa! A cold light rushed out. A drop of rain turned into a sword chi and instantly attacked Tian Zhongdao. The rain martial soul is starting to show its power! Many disciples cried out in surprise. Even the elders of the various peaks were staring at Yu Zaij's rain martial spirit. They had only heard of the rain martial spirit, but had never seen it before. Now, it was time to observe the wonders of Yu Zaij's martial spirit. Blade light! Tian Zhongdao shouted coldly. Whoosh! The light in Tian Zhongdao's dantian soared into the sky. Dense saber lights shot out. It collided with Yu Zaij's sword chi. Clang, 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 a series of clanging sounds could be heard, as if weapons were clashing. Eh? Tian Zhongdao's kitchen knife martial soul can condense so many knife lights? The elders were puzzled. Such a trashy martial soul shouldn't be able to display such powerful combat strength. They were all puzzled. Elder Qiao Yunqiu was very excited to see Tian Zhongdao's astonishing battle prowess. Squall! Yu Zaij shouted loudly. Whoosh, 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 the wind began to howl. Along with the strong wind. In an instant, the area covered by the arena was covered by torrential rain. Yu Ziga pushed his rain martial spirit to the extreme. The rain became denser. An earth-shattering attack enveloped the heaven and earth. It was incomparably terrifying. Blade net! Tian Zhongdao shouted coldly. His body was surrounded by a dense net of knives. That net of knives was completely condensed out of the saber lights. Soar! Tian Zhongdao flew into the air. Moon step! He used the net of knives to protect himself, and quickly rushed towards Yu Ziga. Very quickly, he arrived in front of Yu Ziga. Everyone was nervously watching the battle. Tian Zhongdao didn't seem to be as trashy as everyone thought. Tian Zhongdao's kitchen knife martial soul was also quite strange. It didn't seem to be a simple kitchen knife martial soul. Seeing Tian Zhongdao rushing towards him, Yu Ziji's face revealed a cold smile. Eat my 360 swords! As his voice fell, the dense rainwater in front of Yu Zaij actually condensed into a giant sword. There were a total of 365 swords. Every single one of the giant swords exuded a terrifying power. Feeling the power of those swords, many people's faces became pale. 365 swords directly rushed towards Tian Zhongdao. My rain martial spirit can at most condense 10,000 swords. But right now, my cultivation isn't high enough. I can only condense 365 swords. But against you, it's enough. Yu Ziji's cold voice suddenly resounded. That guy from the heaven repairing peak is finished. Many disciples looked at the 365 swords in shock. The 365 swords were about to hit Tian Zhongdao's body. Tian Zhongdao, who was in the air, had no way to dodge. But at that moment, Shwa! News of Tian Zhongdao's death spread silently. The 365 swords all exploded in the air. In the next moment, Tian Zhongdao silently appeared in front of Yu Ziga. No, that's impossible! How could he disappear? Yu Ziga roared in disbelief. He suddenly felt the sound of something breaking through the air. He turned around and saw Tian Zhongdao's fist rushing towards him. Bang! That powerful fist landed on Yu Ziji's face. Wah! Yu Ziga spat out a mouthful of blood. That blood was mixed with his teeth. Clang! Chapter 529. Shocked gazes fell on Tanaka Dao, who was panting slightly in the ring. Yu Zige was defeated! He was defeated by Tian Zhongdao. And he was defeated in such a humiliating way. Many people still couldn't believe that this was real. Similar to the shock of the ordinary disciples, the elders of the Supreme Peak, beheading Dao Peak, and the other peaks all stood up. Their eyes were wide open as they stared at Tian Zhongdao's dantian. The light in Tian Zhongdao's dantian was quickly dissipating. But they still saw it. 2 rays of light. What did this mean? Twin martial spirits, you actually have the legendary twin martial spirits! Supreme Peak Elder Ning Xingtian said with a trembling voice. Ah, twin martial spirits? All the disciples were shocked. They had naturally heard of twin martial spirits. Under normal circumstances, cultivators only had one martial spirit. Even Lin Feng, who had evolved his martial spirit twice, only had one martial spirit, which was the devouring martial spirit. Because of the evolution of his martial spirit, Lin Feng had 5 devouring martial spirits. But there was a kind of person who didn't have one martial spirit. They had 2 martial spirits. This was the legendary twin martial spirits. Twin martial spirits were extremely rare. Even in the 3,000 prefectures of the Tianwu continent, it was difficult to find a twin martial soul. But those who had twin martial spirits were definitely geniuses among geniuses. Li Mingjie and the others were also very talented, but in front of Tian Zhongdao's twin martial spirits, they were simply incomparable. He actually has twin martial spirits. Elder Qiao Yunqiu's expression was one of wild joy. Lin Feng had already brought her too many surprises. Elder Qiao Yunqiu didn't expect that other than Lin Feng, Tian Zhongdao would also bring her such a big surprise. That's right, I have a second martial spirit, which is the invisibility martial spirit, Tian Zhongdao said. Hiss. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The invisibility martial spirit. It was actually the dark martial spirit. Among all the types of martial spirits, the dark martial spirit was the most terrifying. Huff huff huff. The elders of the Supreme Peak, Cutting Path Peak, and the other peaks were breathing rapidly. They knew what twin martial spirits meant. Why didn't I choose Tian Zhongdao back then? These elders were so depressed that they were about to vomit blood. Lin Feng, Tanaka Dao. They were the 2 most terrifying people among this batch of freshmen. He had actually missed all of them. At the thought of this, all the mountain elders had the urge to find a wall and kill themselves. Tian Zhongdao jumped down from the ring. Lin Feng noticed that something was wrong with Tian Zhongdao. He quietly reached out his hand to support Tian Zhongdao. What's going on? Lin Feng whispered. Initially, I only had the first layer of the invisibility spirit, and that was when I didn't attack. But a moment ago, in order to dodge Yu Zai's attacks, I had to use the second layer of the invisibility spirit to dodge Yu Zai's 365 sword attacks. To me, that was extremely exhausting, Tian Zhongdao said with a pale face. Take a rest, Lin Feng said. Tian Zhongdao nodded and closed his eyes to rest. Elder Qiao Yunqiu could also see that something was wrong with Tian Zhongdao's body. He couldn't help but worry. After Lin Feng explained the situation, Elder Qiao Yunqiu calmed down. Elder Zhang Quan said, The top 6 have been decided. They are Tian Mending Peak's disciples, Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao, Supreme Peak's disciples, Li Mingjie, Divine Sword Peak's disciple, Wu Ke, Cutting Path Peak's disciple, Yang Jian, and Extreme Yang Peak's disciple, Shui Wenjie. Tian Zhongdao quickly recovered. After an hour, Elder Qiao Yunqiu looked at Tian Zhongdao and asked, How do you feel? Tian Zhongdao sighed and said, I'm afraid. I'm afraid. It'll be difficult to participate in the battle. You've already done very well, don't feel burdened. Elder Xiao Yunqiu said. Tian Zhongdao nodded. Elder Xiao Yunqiu said, Tian Zhongdao has been injured during the battle, so he has to withdraw from the final battle. Hua! Immediately, the crowd burst into cheers. If Tian Zhongdao withdrew from the final battle, then one of the top 6 disciples would have a chance. Elder Zhang Quan said, Tian Zhongdao has withdrawn, so the 12 peaks will now send new disciples to participate in the final battle. The final winner will enter the top 6 and participate in the final battle. Tian Mending Peak didn't send any disciples, because apart from Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao, no one else could win. Yao Peak and Lingjun Peak didn't send anyone either. In this way, only the disciples from the 9 peaks would participate in the battle for the last spot. This time, the battle was controlled, and one person would draw lots in the first round. After the top 5 were chosen, the second round would draw lots of people, and 3 people would be selected. The last 2 disciples would fight against each other, and the winner would fight against the other. After an intense battle, the disciple of the 4 extreme peaks, Shui Wentao, obtained the final victory. Although Shui Wentao was only 16 years old, his thunderbolt martial spirit was extremely terrifying. During the 12-6 round, he had only lost to Li Mingjie. Thus, the top 6 were decided. Tian Mending Peak's disciple Lin Feng, Jizun Peak's disciple Li Mingjie, Dao Beheading Peak's disciple Yang Jian, Yang Peak's disciple Shui Wenjie, For Extreme Peak's disciple Shui Wentao, Divine Sword Peak's disciple Wu Ke. The final battle is about to begin. The top 6, come on stage. Great Elder Zhang Quan shouted in a deep voice. Swoosh! The top 6 all flew towards the arena. In the past, the top 3 would be decided first, then one person would draw lots while the other 2 would fight against each other. The winner would fight against the loser. Before this year's competition, the Patriarch gathered us elders to discuss the rules for the top 6. In the past, the top 6 would fight against each other, but this year, the Patriarch changed the rules. The other elders nodded. The rest of the elders nodded slightly. Obviously, they already knew about this. The rules changed? What rules? All the disciples were confused. The new rules are a battle royale between the top 6, said Elder Zhang Quan. Ah? A battle royale? Everybody was astonished. Nobody had thought that it would be a battle royale. A battle royale between the top 6? Didn't that mean they could join hands with others? A battle royale between the top 6. Anyone can join hands with others until the last person is standing on the arena. As expected, Elder Zhang Quan continued to explain the rules for the final battle. It was too cruel. A battle royale between the top 6 was much crueler than a one-on-one battle royale. Li Mingjie and the others couldn't help but frown. Everyone looked at the people around them with vigilant expressions. Lin Feng's expression didn't change. No matter what the rules were, as a disciple, he couldn't refuse them. Let's start the final battle. After Great Elder Zhang Quan finished speaking, he quickly retreated. Li Mingjie and the others glanced at each other. Swish! 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 Li Mingjie, Yang Jian, Shui Wentao, Shui Wenjie, and Wu Ke quickly separated and surrounded Lin Feng. Those 5 people want to join hands and get rid of Lin Feng, said Lin Feng. Seeing this scene, many people sucked in a breath of cold air. However, she found that Lin Feng was indeed too calm. At that moment, Elder Xiao Yunqiu suddenly recalled something the Peak Lord had said to her before leaving. If I don't come back, you have to protect Lin Feng no matter what. At that time, Elder Xiao Yunqiu hadn't understood the Peak Lord's meaning. Now, he seemed to have vaguely understood something. You're courting death! The 5 geniuses roared furiously, each of them pushing their attacks to the limit. They naturally had reason to be angry. Yet, Lin Feng had actually called them small fries. The 5 geniuses also knew that Lin Feng had done this on purpose. He'd said this to infuriate them. But even though they knew that Lin Feng had done this on purpose, they still didn't care. The 5 geniuses were still incomparably furious. They had been successfully infuriated. Right now, the 5 geniuses only wanted to teach Lin Feng a lesson. They wanted him to know how foolish it was to underestimate them, and how disastrous the price he would have to pay. Raging winds billowed. Wild winds howled through the mountains and rivers. I laughed to the heavens. His aura suppressed everything. Lin Feng shouted. Boom! Everyone could feel an incomparably terrifying force emanating from Lin Feng's body. It was to sweep away all obstacles. It was domineering and fearless. It was to fight against the heavens and the earth. It was a kind of invincible momentum with me as the Tao. This was force. Force was different from force. Lin Feng had killed his way out of an army of thousands. Thus he had comprehended force. His force had a kind of iron-blooded, fearless temperament. This kind of force was also the most suitable for battle. Bang, 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 bang. Everyone heard a series of muffled sounds of collisions. One figure after another was sent flying out. It's the 5 geniuses! How is this possible? The 5 geniuses joined forces, but they still can't resist the force emitted by Lin Feng? How can his force be so tyrannical? Many people cried out in surprise, their faces full of shock. The force emitted from Lin Feng's body was really too terrifying. It made everyone feel a sense of horror. Martial spirit sacrifice! The 5 geniuses shouted in unison. At this time, they knew that if they didn't sacrifice their martial spirits, they would have no chance of winning against Lin Feng. Although it was very discouraging. That was the truth. Boom! A terrifying aura spread out as the 5 geniuses sacrificed their martial spirits. Li Mingjia's rising over the sea shot out moonlight that filled the sky. The sea emerged, and the bright moon rose from the end of the sea. Roar! The roar shook the sky. Yang Jian's 3 heads appeared. The roar of the 3 heads shook the heavens and earth, causing many people's ears to ring. Rumble! A loud rumbling sound followed. Shui Wentao's lightning martial spirit was sacrificed, and a large thundercloud gathered above the arena. Shui Wenjia's lightning martial spirit was sacrificed, and the power of lightning intertwined above the arena. Everyone saw that when the lightning and thunder intertwined, their power increased rapidly. The 2 martial spirits complemented each other. Wu Ke's heavenly sword martial spirit was sacrificed, and a sword of light condensed in the air, surrounded by a holy aura. Kill! The 5 geniuses shouted, and all of them rushed towards Lin Feng. Immediately after, they released their spirit energies and moved towards Lin Feng to attack him. What a terrifying martial spirit! Look, Lin Feng's force can't suppress the 5 geniuses. Lin Feng is going to be defeated. Many people shouted in shock. Even the elders nodded slightly. In their opinion, Lin Feng would definitely lose if the 5 geniuses sacrificed their martial spirits. The 5 geniuses' attacks were about to hit Lin Feng. At that moment, Lin Feng's dantian emitted a bright light. Waves of shocking waves swept across the heavens and earth. Buzz! In the next moment, a black hole appeared. His martial spirit! His martial spirit! Wen Hongyun, an elder of the Divine Spirit Peak, stared at Lin Feng's martial spirit. She clearly remembered that when the 12 peaks were selecting candidates, she had asked Lin Feng what his martial spirit was. Lin Feng had said it was a martial spirit with the ability to devour and confine. When Hongyun didn't pay much attention to it, she just thought it was rare. But now, Lin Feng had sacrificed his martial spirit. Whoosh! A strong wind swept across the arena. Everyone saw it. Li Mingjia's ocean and moon were instantly devoured by the black hole. Yang Jian's 3 martial spirits were struggling, but they couldn't escape the fate of being devoured. The power of lightning and thunder was also devoured by the black hole. The heavenly sword slashed down, but it didn't enter the black hole and disappeared. The martial spirits of the 5 geniuses didn't even make a splash before they were devoured by the black hole. Impossible! The 5 geniuses shouted in disbelief. Break! In the next moment, Lin Feng stepped forward and a strong force surged out. The 5 geniuses were struck by lightning and were all sent flying. Plop, one after another, they all fell to the ground, their faces pale. How could this be? The 5 geniuses sacrificed their martial spirits, but they were still defeated. Countless people looked at the arena as if they had lost their souls. Everyone's face was filled with disbelief. That was the joint attack of the 5 geniuses. As the wind blew, the handsome young man stood on the stage like a perfect painting. No one wanted to break the silence. Chapter 531. I didn't disappoint you. Disciple 1. Lin Feng cupped his fists in front of Elder Xiao Yunqiu, whose eyes were glistening with tears. Lin Feng knew how much Elder Xiao Yunqiu had suffered in the past few years. Lin Feng knew that Elder Xiao Yunqiu had suffered in the past few years. Lin Feng admired Elder Xiao Yunqiu. Even after suffering so much ridicule and setbacks, she still persisted in the heaven-repairing peak. Elder Xiao Yunqiu was the weakest of the six elders, but who could compare to her character? Good, good. Elder Xiao Yunqiu murmured and nodded. She was gratified. It turned out that her bitter perseverance hadn't been in vain. After the previous peak master, Yu Butian, another genius had appeared in heaven-mending peak. No, more accurately, there were 2 geniuses, and Tian Zhongdao, who had twin martial spirits. Said Ning Xingtian, jumping up. Lin Feng, Tian Zhongdao, the Supreme Peak is willing to provide you with all the resources you need. We can also provide you with the best skills and techniques. I can even ask the Patriarch to teach you spells and techniques. What do you think about joining the Supreme Peak? Haha, Elder Ning, the sect leader has already left the sect for 300 years. He's still fighting in the extraterritorial battlefield. How could he have time to teach Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao? Why don't you two join my beheading peak? My cutting path peak cuts the way of heaven and earth. Among all the peaks, it is the peak that has the most powerful comprehension of the way of heaven and earth. If you join us, I am sure that under the cultivation of my cutting path peak, you will definitely be promoted to the Yin-Yang realm. When Hongyun also walked out and looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng, I'm guessing that your spiritual strength must be very strong, right? If you join my Divine Soul Peak, we have top-notch soul cultivation techniques, and Tian Zhongdao is very suitable for our Divine Soul Peak. Tian Zhongdao has twin martial spirits, and using martial spirits requires a lot of soul power, which is what our Divine Soul Peak specializes in. The elders of the other peaks all walked out and started arguing. They all wanted to fight over Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao. Everyone stared at the elders with their mouths agape. However, it was understandable. It would be a pity to miss out on geniuses like Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao. Elder Xiao Yunqiu's face was incomparably ugly. She had long guessed that these elders would come to snatch Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao. However, Elder Xiao Yunqiu had no way to stop it. Compared to the other peaks, what was Heaven-Mending Peak? He was unable to provide any additional cultivation resources, and even the Heaven-Mending technique had been lost. Elder Xiao Yunqiu opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but only bitterness filled her heart. She did not know how to persuade Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao to stay. Perhaps geniuses like them shouldn't belong to Heaven-Mending Peak in the first place? The Heaven-Mending Peak is still the Heaven-Mending Peak of the past. It will always be the same until the Heaven-Mending Peak is removed from the list. Today's competition is probably the last glory of the Heaven-Mending Peak, right? Elder Xiao Yunqiu sighed. Cough, cough. Elders, may I ask when the reward will be given? After the reward, I still need to return to the Heaven-Mending Peak to cultivate. While the elders were arguing, Lin Feng's voice spread in the air. Yes, yes, yes. Reward, where is the reward? Tian Zhongdao also shouted. Elder Xiao Yunqiu's eyes suddenly widened, and then she became overjoyed. She naturally understood what Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao meant. Lin Feng didn't refuse the elders of the other groups because they were elders, so he didn't want them to lose face. Lin Feng, Tian Zhongdao, you two should think about it carefully. This will affect how far you can go in the future and what kind of achievements you will achieve. Elder Ning Shitian of the Supreme Peak said. Elder, you're right. A single top-grade spirit stone won't allow me to go far in the future. Elder, can you discuss and give me a few more? Lin Feng said with a smile. Ning Xingtian's mouth twitched violently. This kid was obviously pretending to be ignorant. However, the other elders did not continue arguing. They could see that Lin Feng was a very opinionated person. Once he made a decision, he would not change it. On the other hand, Tian Zhongdao and Lin Feng were very close, so Lin Feng made the decision. If Lin Feng did not join the other peaks, Tian Zhongdao would not join either. The competition ended, but it had obviously caused a huge commotion in the Blue Cloud sect. Everybody knew that two geniuses had appeared in the heaven-mending peak. It was said that the great elders who had been cultivating in seclusion in the small world were also alarmed. The heaven-mending peak has not had an easy time these years. Every month, give them twice the amount of resources, one of the supreme elders said. The Blue Cloud sect was in a heated discussion. The disciples of the heaven-mending peak were the ones who had benefited the most. There were only a few hundred disciples in the heaven-mending peak, but now, they had received twice the amount of resources. Of course, the disciples had benefited greatly. Everyone was filled with gratitude towards Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao. Everyone knew that if it wasn't for Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao, the heaven-mending peak wouldn't have been able to obtain these cultivation resources. In the following month, Lin Feng had been cultivating diligently. Other than honing his spirit array and alchemy skills, he would also observe the star chart every day to comprehend the mysteries within. Of course, Lin Feng didn't give up on his own cultivation either. He could vaguely feel that he was about to break through to the 10th layer of the martial general realm. I've already used up all the spirit herbs on me. I need to find a place to collect a large amount of spirit herbs. Otherwise, I won't be able to continue refining pills, Lin Feng said. Alchemy is a profession that consumes a lot of resources. Any powerful alchemist is accumulated with countless wealth, the Fire Qilin said. Lin Feng nodded in agreement. During this period of time, he didn't know how many spirit herbs he had destroyed when he was refining pills. After another 10 days, Lin Feng observed the star chart. For the first time, his divine will made a connection with the mysterious existence within the endless starlight. It was a slight connection, but that connection was quickly cut off. However, even so, Lin Feng still benefited greatly. He absorbed a large amount of starlight energy from the 90,000 star charts, and Lin Feng's soul reached the peak of the 9th layer of the yin-yang realm. The 90,000 star charts are really amazing. They allowed my soul power to break through quickly. Lin Feng was filled with joy. After spending another 10 days, Lin Feng felt that his true essence was on the verge of a breakthrough. He had piled up a large amount of high-grade spirit stones in his room. Lin Feng had accumulated a lot of spirit stones, so he needed a lot of spirit stones each time. Others only needed a few high-grade spirit stones to break through, but he would often need hundreds or even more. Of course, after breaking through, Lin Feng's battle prowess was far superior to others. Lin Feng tried to break through, and a large amount of spirit energy surged into his body. However, after absorbing the energy of thousands of high-grade spirit stones, he still didn't succeed. Lin Feng felt that he was still lacking some maturity. In the end, Lin Feng took out the top-grade spirit stones he had obtained during the small competition. He began to absorb the energy of the top-grade spirit stones. Boom! Finally, with the support of the top-grade spirit stones, Lin Feng's body surged with power and instantly exploded. Chapter 532. Late at night, Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao sat on the roof, gazing at the moon while drinking wine. What are you thinking about? Tian Zhongdao asked. I'm thinking about what the Peak Lord told me about establishing my own Dao. Even now, I still don't understand what Dao is, and what is my own Dao, Lin Feng said. My own Dao? Even if there are many experts in the yin-yang world, they don't they? Tian Zhongdao said. Lin Feng nodded and said, but the Peak Lord said that establishing one's own Dao has nothing to do with one's cultivation. Moreover, the earlier one establishes one's Tao, the more beneficial it will be for one's cultivation. Tian Zhongdao showed a pensive expression. Why didn't you invite me to drink? At that moment, the old drunkard's voice rang out. The old drunkard appeared out of nowhere and jumped onto the roof. Tian Zhongdao rolled his eyes and said, You still have the nerve to come back? The old drunkard said mysteriously, I actually went to do something for the Peak Lord. Who are you trying to fool? Tian Zhongdao obviously didn't believe him. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat, and he asked, What is it? Buddha says I can't tell you. The old drunkard grinned before taking another big gulp of wine. The three of them drank until late at night before going their separate ways. Do you think there's anything wrong with the old drunkard? Lin Feng looked at the fire Qilin. The fire Qilin shook its head. Lin Feng rubbed his head and said, Maybe he's been too tired from cultivating, so he's a little stressed out. That's why he's so paranoid. The old drunkard had fled before the competition, and now that he had returned, many people were unhappy. However, the old drunkard was thick-skinned, and he ignored their gazes. If anyone angered the old drunkard, he would shout, Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao are my brothers. If you dare bully me, I'll have my brothers teach you a lesson. This old bastard. Some disciples rolled their eyes, but for the sake of Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao, they didn't argue with the old drunkard. A few older disciples organized a bonfire party, hoping to invite Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao to participate. Because Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao were both extremely hardworking people, they were rarely seen. Therefore, many disciples of the heaven-mending peak were not familiar with Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao. They organized this bonfire party to let everyone get to know each other. Several hundred disciples had arrived. The bonfire party was very lively. Zhang Hu smiled and said, Junior brother Lin, look at the way the female disciples are looking at you. I'm so envious. Are you going to? As he spoke, he even made a very obscene gesture. Lin Feng gradually became familiar with Zhang Hu and knew that this guy liked to joke around. He smiled and said, If those senior and junior sisters heard you, they might beat you to death. Zhang Hu, are you speaking ill of us? More than 10 female disciples walked over, and a female disciple in a red dress snorted. This female disciple in a red dress was called Shui Zhu. She was in the 5th firmament of the martial king realm and had the highest cultivation among the female disciples. Her figure was tall and hot, and her face was delicate and beautiful. Her hot body and perfect face made her have many pursuers. However, she had never had any scandals with any male disciple. She was also very hardworking in her cultivation. Senior brother Zhang Hu is the worst. He's definitely slandering us. Another female disciple snorted and said. This female disciple was called Jining. She was petite and very cute. The other female disciples also began to criticize Wang Hu. Wang Hu's face immediately became bitter, and he said with a sad face, Junior sisters, you've misunderstood me. I'm really as innocent as the snow in June. I was just praising you for being as beautiful as fairies. We don't believe your nonsense. Junior brother Lin, is senior brother Wang Hu speaking ill of us? Jining smiled and looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said, You've really misunderstood senior brother Wang. He's indeed praising you for being beautiful. Wang Hu secretly gave Lin Feng a thumbs up. We believe junior brother Lin's words, but we don't believe Wang Hu's words. The group of female disciples laughed. Wang Hu said helplessly, Is it because junior brother Lin's cultivation level is higher than mine, and he's more handsome than me? Is that why you're so biased? Many female disciples snorted at Wang Hu. A few bolder female disciples said, That's right, that's what we think. Everyone laughed and joked, and Wang Hu introduced the names of the female disciples to Lin Feng. Shui Zhu and Jining were naturally very outstanding. One of them had a sexy body, while the other was petite and exquisite. They were both extremely beautiful, and they were two different types of beauties. The bonfire party naturally included dancing, and many disciples danced around the bonfire. Wang Hu urged, Junior brother Lin, Hurry up and invite junior sister Wei Zhu to dance with you. We don't have such an honor. Lin Feng stood up and invited Shi Wei Zhu to dance. Shi Wei Zhu blushed and stretched out her hand. Lin Feng gently held her hand and walked with her to the bonfire. After that, the days seemed to have returned to normal. Lin Feng cultivated diligently every day, hoping to break through to the Martial King realm as soon as possible. During this time, a piece of news was circulating in the sect. The Thunderblade's secret territory was about to open, and many disciples were talking about it. The Thunderblade's secret territory was a secret territory in the Wasteland region. It was extremely mysterious, and it was said that it would only open once every 500 years. Not only were there many ancient cultivator caves in the Thunderblade's secret territory, but there were also top-notch mines that could be mined for top-grade spirit stones and countless spirit herbs. Every time the Thunderblade's secret territory opened, it would be open for a year. After a year, people had to leave the Thunderblade's secret territory. Otherwise, they would be trapped in the Thunderblade's secret territory until they died. In addition, the Thunderblade's secret realm had its own order of heaven and earth. Only cultivators below the Yin-Yang realm were allowed to enter that place. Cultivators above the Yin-Yang realm were not allowed to enter the Thunderblade's secret realm. Now that the Thunderblade's secret realm was about to open, the Blue Cloud sect was going to organize disciples to go there to gain experience. Have you heard of the Thunderblade's secret territory? At night, Lin Feng and the Fire Qilin talked about the Thunderblade's secret territory. Of course I've heard of it. It's said that in the ancient times, there was a great battle between two peerless cultivators. One of the peerless cultivators attacked with his blade, and that attack almost destroyed the entire Wasteland region. After that, the area where the blade attacked became the Thunderblade's secret territory. The Thunderblade's secret territory ran through half of the Wasteland region, said the Fire Qilin. That's terrifying. Lin Feng was astonished. In the Wasteland region, ordinary people couldn't cross it even if they walked for 100 years. How big was the Wasteland region? A strong cultivator from the ancient times had almost split the Wasteland apart with a single attack. How big was that blade? How could it split the Wasteland apart? That cultivator from the ancient times was unimaginably strong. Chapter 533. It's hard to imagine a battle between ancient experts. They were all on the level of gods. You should know that there are no more experts on that level in the Martial Heaven continent, said the Fire Qilin. Lin Feng nodded. Before the Fire Qilin had broken through to the God realm, it had been called the Flame Saint. It had been one of the strongest experts on the Martial Heaven continent. Based on the jade tube his father had left behind, the God realm experts were most likely in the outside world. This / formed the Thunderblade's secret territory. Does that mean that the Thunderblade's secret territory is usually surrounded by restrictions? Asked Lin Feng. It's not a restrictive spell. It's a destructive law of order, said the Fire Qilin. What's a law of order? Asked Lin Feng. That's how it is. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter alternate. People get old, get sick, and die. That's the law of nature. That's what cultivators call the heavenly Tao. The manifestation of the heavenly Tao is the power of the law of order. It's the same principle as how many dragons a general has. But the power of the law of order isn't something that just anyone can touch. Even almighty experts would be instantly annihilated by the power of the law of order. So if the Lightning Blade's secret domain isn't opened, no one would dare to barge in. They'd die a miserable death, said the Fire Qilin. Then why does the Lightning Blade's secret domain only allow cultivators below the Yin-Yang realm to enter? Asked Lin Feng. Perhaps it's the power of the law of order. The power of the law of order can change many things. Lin Feng asked. Do you plan on going to the Lightning Blade's secret domain with me? Said the Fire Qilin helplessly. I can't go in even if I want to. Even though my divine energy has been devoured, my cultivation base is still there. Lin Feng could only nod. Over the next few days, Lin Feng learned the dividing metal and fixing acupuncture points technique from the Fire Qilin. the ancient book said. To find the dragon and divide the metal, look at the coiling mountain. Each coiling mountain is a pass. Closing the pass is like 8 layers of danger. This incantation was called the dragon-seeking formula, and it was one of the methods used to separate metal and locate occupants. As the saying goes, mound seal, touch gold talisman, move mountains and remove ridges, search for the dragon incantation, human light candle, ghosts blow out the lamp, survey palanquin inverted battle and search for the star peak, mercury gourd, nourish the radiant vessel, dragon pavilions and treasure halls have been countless. Deep coffins, bronze outer coffins, 8 characters. Do not approach if the 8 characters are not hard. The art of tomb robbing had been passed down since ancient times and had an extremely long history. There were also many classifications of tomb robbers, such as tomb robbers, mountain-moving Taoists, tomb robbers, and so on. After communicating with the fire Qilin, Lin Feng learned that Taoist Wu Liang was a mountain-moving Taoist. Moving mountain Taoist was naturally a Taoist as well, but he was not accepted by orthodox Taoists. This was because moving mountain Taoists specialized in digging up ancestral graves, stealing treasures, and harming others for his own benefit. In the eyes of Taoists, this was something that harmed one's virtue. Of course, Lin Feng didn't learn the dividing metal and fixing acupoints technique from the fire Qilin because he didn't have much interest in this kind of thing. However, using this secret technique to find the ancient cultivator's immortal's cave was still quite useful. It could even be used to fix Dragon's Cave, search for feng shui, and find spirit veins. The sect finally spread the news. Outer sect disciple Grand Elder Dian Yu and Grand Elder Zhang Quan would personally lead the elite outer sect disciples to the Thunderblade's secret realm. As for the ordinary disciples, the sect didn't recommend them to enter the Thunderblade's secret realm because the Thunderblade's secret realm was very chaotic. Killing and robbing treasures could be seen everywhere. If one's cultivation wasn't enough to enter the Thunderblade's secret realm, wouldn't it be courting death? As for the inner sect disciples of the Blue Cloud sect, they were all cultivating in the Blue Cloud sect's profound spirit space. The profound spirit space was a space condensed by the founder of the Blue Cloud sect, the God Realm ancestor Blue Cloud. The spirit energy inside was dozens of times more than the outside world. It could simply be called the Holy Land for cultivation. It was located in the deepest part of the Blue Cloud sect. The disciples cultivating inside basically didn't interact with the outer sect disciples. Lin Feng had heard that Nebula Pavilion had a mysterious ancestral land, which was also a holy land for cultivation. Obviously, the Blue Cloud sect's profound spirit space was very similar to Nebula Pavilion's ancestral land. 200,000 to 300,000 outer sect disciples all hoped to be promoted to inner sect disciples and entered the profound spirit space to cultivate. Of course, it wasn't easy to be promoted to inner sect disciples. The inner sect disciples will be led to the Thunderblade's secret realm by the Grand Elder of the inner sect, and it's different from the entrance we're going to. We're going to the Thunderstorm Valley. The ferocious beasts we'll encounter when entering the Thunderblade's secret realm from the Thunderstorm Valley are relatively weaker. Of course, there are relatively fewer caves, spirit mines, and spirit herbs. The entrance that the inner sect disciples are going to is called Tianyun Valley. Shu Weizhu obviously still had some understanding of the Thunderblade's secret realm, so she said aloud. Wang Hu said, "We've arrived at the right time, just in time for the opening of the Thunderblade's secret realm. If we can get enough opportunities to cultivate in the Thunderblade's secret realm for half a year, maybe we can also become inner sect disciples." There were many restrictions to becoming an inner sect disciple. The first condition was that one's cultivation had to be above the 8th firmament of the martial king realm. The second condition was talent. If one's martial spirit was too weak, it would be difficult to become an inner sect disciple. The third condition was bloodline. If one's bloodline didn't meet the sect's requirements, one couldn't become an inner sect disciple. For example, the eldest senior brother of the heaven-mending peak, Jingping, was already at the 10th heavenly layer of the martial king realm. However, Jingping's battle prowess was not even comparable to some of the more talented 7th and 8th heavenly layer martial kings. First, it was because Jingping's martial spirit was only a vine martial spirit. Second, it was because Jingping's bloodline power was very weak. The reason why Jingping could break through to the 10th firmament of the martial king realm was all because of hard work. However, if one didn't have talent and a weak bloodline, it would be difficult to break through again. Jingping was defined as having no future by the sect. Therefore, even though he was now at the 10th firmament of the martial king realm, he couldn't become an inner sect disciple. This time, Jingping was going to the Thunderblade's secret realm. Jingping wanted to find opportunities in the Thunderblade's secret realm and break the shackles of fate. Of course, it was not easy. After all, Jingping's talent was too weak. Even if his bloodline had changed, his martial spirit was too weak. It wouldn't be easy for him to achieve great things in the future. This was because the stronger the martial spirit, the faster the cultivation speed. Jingping's weak martial spirit would be extremely slow for him to cultivate. 3 days later, about 5,000 disciples rode on dozens of huge griffins and headed to the Thunderblade Valley. Look, that's the Thunderblade Valley. Half a month later, everyone finally arrived at the Thunderblade Valley. Strong winds swept through the place, and thunder and lightning intertwined in the sky. A huge valley was formed after countless years of grinding by thunder and strong winds. That valley was the Thunderblade Valley, one of the entrances to the Thunderblade's secret realm. Chapter 534. That's the Zephyr Valley. It's surrounded by lightning and hurricanes. Lin Feng and the others stood up on their griffins and looked at the Zephyr Valley. They were astonished when they saw the hurricanes and the dense lightning. If they were swallowed by the lightning and hurricanes outside the Zephyr Valley, even yin-yang cultivators would die inside, right? After all, it was a terrifying scene created by an ancient cultivator. More and more cultivators were heading towards the Zephyr Valley from all directions. I wonder how many cultivators will enter this time, said Wang Hu. It's only opened once every year. It only opens once every 500 years. I've heard that some geniuses in Huanyu are stuck at the 10th celestial layer of the Martial King layer because they want to enter the Thunderblade mysterious world. Those geniuses are real geniuses, just like Brother Lin. When his cultivation level was very low, he was able to defeat cultivators who were much stronger than him. Now, those geniuses are stuck at the 10th celestial layer of the Martial King layer. I wonder how terrifying they are, said Jingping. Shi Weizhu said, I've also heard that. Actually, it's not just the other big groups. Even our Blue Cloud sect has a few disciples like that, such as Shui Zhanlong, Feng Zizhou, and the others. It's said that they can fight against yin-yang cultivators for more than 10 rounds without being defeated. Hiss. The sound of people sucking in cold breaths could be heard. Lin Feng's heart shook. The people Shi Weizhu was talking about were really terrifying. But when he thought about it carefully, it seemed normal. There must be many geniuses in those big groups. Very quickly, the Blue Cloud Sect's group arrived at the entrance of the Zephyr Valley. There was a sea of people waiting for the Zephyr Valley to open so that they could enter. Look, it's the Blue Cloud Sect's people. Many cultivators cried out in alarm. Although the Emerald Cloud Sect could not compare to its heyday, it was still one of the 4 major powers in the wasteland. Even if the other 3 powers' overall strength surpassed the Emerald Cloud Sect, no one dared to underestimate the Emerald Cloud Sect's foundation. In the past, when the Blue Cloud Sect had mastered the Patching Heaven technique, it was the most powerful group in Huanyu. The other 3 big groups, Nebula Pavilion, the 10,000 Laws Sect, and the Deity Sword Villa, were much weaker than the Blue Cloud Sect. After the Patching Heaven technique was lost, the Blue Cloud Sect gradually weakened. That was only relatively speaking, because the Blue Cloud Sect still had some powerful inheritances, but they couldn't be compared to the Patching Heaven technique. Rumble, rumble. In the distance, an earth-shattering sound could be heard as more than a dozen huge spaceships flew over from afar. There was a symbol of a celestial mountain on one of the airships. Lin Feng recognized the symbol on the flag. It was the symbol of the 10,000 Laws Sect. Back then, Lin Feng had gone to the 10,000 Laws Sect to join them, but he had been kicked out by Luosen because he didn't have a letter of recommendation. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't have a good impression of the 10,000 Laws sect. The 10,000 Laws sect is here too, many people were discussing. The 10,000 Laws sect's leader was Luosen, who had kicked Lin Feng out of the sect. Brother Luo. Great Elder Zhang Quan cupped his fists at Luo. Senator Luosen nodded indifferently, making Great Elder Zhang Quan feel awkward. It was like being snubbed. The Blue Cloud sect fell behind the four great forces. Now, the 10,000 Laws sect, Nebula Pavilion, and Deity Sword Mountain Villa are pulling ahead of us. Therefore, the three great sects don't think highly of our Blue Cloud sect. Look at that Luosen, he's just an ordinary elder of the 10,000 Laws sect, but he looks down on our Blue Cloud sect's Great Elder Zhang Quan. He's too arrogant, said Jining, wrinkling her nose. What's so great about Luosen? Even though Great Elder Zhang Quan is only an ordinary disciple, he's still a cultivator of the 7th Yin and Yang layer. Luosen is only a cultivator of the 4th Yin and Yang layer. He can't last more than 10 attacks against Great Elder Zhang Quan. He dares look down on Great Elder Zhang Quan. How dare he look down on Great Elder Zhang Quan? Said a heaven-repairing peak disciple called Yang Ming. Sometimes, in the world of cultivation, strength isn't the only thing that matters, it also depends on the group behind you. Glory is glory, disgrace is disgrace, that's the principle. The disciples of Butian Peak understood that. In the Blue Cloud sect, the disciples of Butian Peak were ridiculed by the other peaks. In the outside world, the Blue Cloud sect was looked down upon by the other top groups. Great Elder Zhang Quan looked glum and didn't say anything. In the distance, a gigantic flying sword appeared. It was more than 1,000 meters long, and there were many cultivators standing on it. Deity Sword Mountain Villa's people are here. Someone shouted in surprise. Deity Sword Mountain Villa was one of the groups Lin Feng had been to before, but he had been kicked out. The leader of Deity Sword Mountain Villa was the one who had mocked and ridiculed Lin Feng, Elder Fu Ju. The gigantic sword was floating in the air. The disciples of Deity Sword Mountain Villa looked majestic. Luosen and Fu Ju smiled and greeted them, but they ignored Great Elder Zhang Quan. Perhaps Luosen and Fu Ju both thought that the Blue Cloud sect had fallen from the top of the four groups of Wasteland, and that Great Elder Zhang Quan, as the leader of the Blue Cloud sect, wasn't qualified to talk to them. He just nodded slightly to greet them, which was already giving them face. After being treated coldly by Luosen the first time, Great Elder Zhang Quan simply narrowed his eyes and pretended not to see Fu Ju. When Fu Ju saw that Great Elder Zhang Quan didn't take the initiative to greet him and was even a little angry, he couldn't help but snort coldly. At that moment, dazzling starlight appeared in the distance. A river of stars swept across the sky and quickly flew over. Upon closer inspection, it wasn't a real river of stars, but a flying carpet. Once it was activated, it emitted dazzling starlight. The people of Nebula Pavilion are here! Many cultivators cried out in surprise. Elder Xing Xian. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and glanced coldly at Elder Xing Xian. Elder Xing Xian, who had been resting with his eyes closed, seemed to have sensed something. He immediately opened his eyes and passed through the crowd to see Lin Feng. It's that little bastard! After seeing Lin Feng, Elder Xing Xian's face twisted. He already knew that Lin Feng had killed Xing Yang, the son of his cousin, whom he had had an affair with. Elder Xing Xian couldn't wait to find Lin Feng and cut Lin Feng into 1,000 pieces. He found me? What a terrifying power of perception! What a terrifying murderous intent! When he sensed Elder Xing Xian's murderous intent, Lin Feng's heart trembled. Lin Feng, you little bastard! I'm going to cut you into 1,000 pieces! Elder Xing Xian's furious roar shook the sky. He whistled and quickly flew towards Lin Feng. His murderous intent was as vast as the ocean. Many people's faces turned extremely pale when they sensed Elder Xing Xian's murderous intent. That murderous intent was too terrifying. It was suffocating. Chapter 535. Then why is Elder Xing Xian from Nebula Pavilion so angry? Who is Lin Feng? Why does Elder Xing Xian want to kill Lin Feng? Many people were puzzled. Before anyone could react, Elder Xing Xian had already flown over to the Blue Cloud sect. Lin Feng's expression was calm and unhurried. He was now a disciple of the Blue Cloud sect. Grand Elder Zhang Quan was still standing nearby, yet Xing Xian wanted to kill Lin Feng. What did he think of the Blue Cloud sect's reputation? What did he think of Grand Elder Zhang Quan's reputation? As the saying went, face is mutual. If you give me face, I'll give you face. Grand Elder Zhang Quan had just been humiliated by Luosen, so he had been suppressing his anger for a long time. Now, Xing Xian wanted to kill a Blue Cloud sect disciple without even saying anything. If Xing Xian really got his way, then Grand Elder Zhang Quan would lose all face in the future. Humph. Sure enough, Grand Elder Zhang Quan snorted and stopped Xing Xian. He said coldly, Elder Xing Xian, could it be that my Blue Cloud sect's disciple has offended you? You actually want to kill him? Grand Elder Zhang Quan was very optimistic about Lin Feng's future. He had even chatted with Lin Feng several times on the way here. Whether it was for public or private reasons, he wouldn't let Lin Feng be killed by Xing Xian. Xing Xian's expression sank as he said, Great Elder Zhang Quan, this brat killed my nephew. I will definitely dismember him into 10,000 pieces to avenge my nephew, Xin Yuyang. Killed your nephew? Grand Elder Zhang Quan frowned. No wonder Elder Xing Xian wants to kill that brat Lin Feng. So there's a grudge between them. Tisk tsk. If that's the case, then this matter will be interesting. Do you think Grand Elder Zhang Quan will continue to stop Elder Xing Xian? After all, Lin Feng is now a disciple of the Blue Cloud sect. If he doesn't stop him, then he'll lose face. If he does, then he'll thoroughly offend Elder Xing Xian. I don't know. Many people were discussing this matter. Even the 10,000 Laws sect's Elder Luosen and the Deity Sword Manor's Elder Fu Ju looked over. When they saw Lin Feng, they were clearly surprised. Wasn't this brat the brat who had been chased away? He had actually killed Xing Xian's nephew? Fortunately, he had been chased away, or else it would have been troublesome. So it's that boy. He wanted to join our 10,000 Laws sect, but he didn't have a letter of recommendation, so Elder Luosen kicked him out. Luckily, we didn't let him join the 10,000 Laws sect. Otherwise, the 10,000 Laws sect would have offended Elder Xing Xian, and perhaps even become enemies with Nebula Pavilion. Some disciples of the 10,000 Dharma sect recognized Lin Feng and immediately started discussing. That brat also went to Deity Sword Villa, but Elder Fu Ju chased him away. Haha, Elder Fu Ju is really wise. Some disciples of Deity Sword Villa were also discussing this matter. When he heard Xing Xian, Lin Feng immediately smiled coldly and said, Elder Xing Xian, I've seen shameless people, but I've never seen someone as shameless as you. You're twisting the truth and making it sound like a righteous person. I really admire you. When the crowd heard this, they immediately started whispering. Is there a secret behind this matter? Said Grand Elder Zhang Quan. Lin Feng, tell us everything. I'll take care of it for you. Lin Feng said. Originally, I went to Nebula Pavilion with a few friends, wanting to join them. By chance, I met Master Yun of Nebula Pavilion. Master Yun of Nebula Pavilion gave me a talisman, which was equivalent to a letter of recommendation. Ah? You met Zhong Yun? This brat is going to be rich. With such an almighty taking care of him, it'll be hard for him not to rise in the future. Many people were shocked, but they suddenly realized that something was wrong. Why did Xing Xian still want to kill him when Zhong Yun was taking care of him? Almighty Zhong Yun is a very upright senior. When I joined Nebula Pavilion, I followed the rules of Nebula Pavilion and went through the tests first. After the first test, Xing Xian's nephew accidentally saw me. That guy's name is Xin Yuyang, and he's extremely lecherous. He already has many wives and concubines at home, and he even seduces many female disciples in Nebula Pavilion for his pleasure. Elder Xing Xian, you should know about this, right? Brat, you're talking nonsense. shouted Elder Xing Xian angrily, wanting to stop Lin Feng. However, he was stopped by Grand Elder Zhang Quan. Many people started discussing this matter. This was simply a scandal. Xing Yuyang was obviously using Elder Xing Xian's position to abuse his power in Nebula Pavilion, and he'd even seduced those female disciples to seduce him. Immediately, many people looked at Xing Xian with disdain. He actually taught such a nephew. It seemed that Xing Xian wasn't a good person either. Lin Feng continued, "It doesn't matter if you admit it or not, because many disciples in Nebula Pavilion know about your nephew, Xing Yuyang, in Nebula Pavilion. Everyone can ask around and you'll know if I'm telling the truth. This Xing Yuyang is simply a scum. Back then, he took a fancy to my fiancée and wanted to use underhanded means to obtain her. Later on, I saw through his plans, so he hated me. When he saw me in Nebula Pavilion, he wanted to borrow Elder Xing Xian's power to get rid of me. Elder Xing Xian sent a deacon to invite me to Nebula Pavilion's bamboo forest on a rainy night, and he wanted to kill me. That's right, there's a very large bamboo forest in Nebula Pavilion." Immediately, a cultivator spoke up. Many people listened as if they were fascinated. It was obvious that they believed Lin Feng's words more. "Nonsense! Brat, you dare slander this elder? This elder wants your life." This elder Xing Xian knew that he couldn't let Lin Feng continue. If he continued, something big would happen. First of all, Lin Feng was a cultivator going to Nebula Pavilion to participate in the examination. Because of a personal grudge with Elder Xing Xian's nephew, Elder Xing Xian actually wanted to kill Lin Feng. This was a huge and heavy blow to Nebula Pavilion's reputation. Think about it, if Nebula Pavilion's elders were like Elder Xing Xian, killing other disciples because of a small grudge, how could such a sect have any sense of security? Who would join? Moreover, don't forget that Lin Feng was someone who Almighty Zhong Yun personally gave him a talisman. What did this mean? Although Almighty Zhong Yun didn't say it directly, it was obvious that he wanted Nebula Pavilion's elders to take care of Lin Feng. However, not only did Elder Xing Xian not take care of Lin Feng, he even wanted to kill Lin Feng. This was completely not giving Almighty Zhong Yun any face. In front of Almighty Zhong Yun, Elder Xing Xian wasn't even worth mentioning. If this matter was confirmed, Elder Xing Xian didn't even dare to imagine what kind of punishment he would receive. The sect would definitely punish him severely and then set an example to prove Nebula Pavilion's innocence. And people like him were just a special case. Thinking of this, Elder Xing Xian couldn't help but shiver. Right now, he only wanted to kill Lin Feng. The dead tell no tales. Elder Xing Xian jumped up and rushed towards Lin Feng, wanting to kill Lin Feng. Great Elder Zhang Quan's expression suddenly sank. In the sect, Great Elder Zhang Quan had always been a good-tempered person, but now this Xing Xian dared to ignore him and kill a Blue Cloud sect disciple. Great Elder Zhang Quan was already furious. He coldly shouted, "Xing Xian, do you really think I'm invisible?" Xing Xian coldly said, "Zhang Quan, you better step aside. Otherwise, you will be my enemy." This Elder Xing Xian didn't stop at all and rushed towards Lin Feng. Impudent! Great Elder Zhang Quan was completely enraged. This Xing Xian was just an ordinary elder of Nebula Pavilion, while he was the Blue Cloud sect's great elder. This person actually dared to ignore him time and time again, and even dared to threaten him. He actually didn't put him, an elder of the Blue Cloud sect, in his eyes. As the saying goes, a man's life depends on his breath, and Buddha fights for an incense stick. Even a clay figurine has 3 points of fire, let alone a living person. Great Elder Zhang Quan angrily shouted and sent a palm strike towards Xing Xian, who was flying towards Lin Feng. Chapter 536. First Elder Zhang Quan was at the 7th stage of the Yin-Yang realm. Xing Xian was only at the 5th stage of the Yin-Yang realm. Compared to First Elder Zhang Quan, he was far weaker. How terrifying was the might of First Elder Zhang Quan's furious strike. Xing Xian was both shocked and furious. "Zhang Quan, you're going to fall out with Nebula Pavilion for an ordinary disciple? How could Xingxian dare to stay for even a moment? He turned around and slapped First Elder Zhang Quan. Bang! Accompanied by an earth-shattering sound, Xingxian was sent flying by First Elder Zhang Quan, his face pale. It was only then that the pupils of many cultivators shrank. Now that the Blue Cloud sect's strength had declined greatly, the other three top forces didn't care about the Blue Cloud sect at all. Even the ordinary elders looked down on Zhang Quan. However, everyone had forgotten a very important thing. Zhang Quan was the first elder of the Blue Cloud sect. For these top forces, the first elder had to be at the 7th stage of the yin-yang realm, or above. If cultivators were to really fight, it would still depend on their cultivation level. A mere 5th stage of the yin-yang realm dares to be so impudent in front of this elder? If it wasn't for Nebula Pavilion, this elder would kill you today. First Elder Zhang Quan waved his robe and sneered. Even a good-tempered person could get angry. Moreover, when a good-tempered person got angry, it was quite terrifying. First Elder Zhang Quan was suppressing the anger in his heart, and didn't go forward to kill Xingxian. Xingxian's expression was uncertain. He gnashed his teeth in hatred, but he wasn't First Elder Zhang Quan's match. Although he wanted nothing more than to cut Lin Feng into pieces, he didn't have the strength to do so. Lin Feng didn't continue speaking. It was best to stop at a certain point. If he didn't say everything, others would guess what had happened later. Then, the matter would spread even further. If he said everything that happened later, there would be no more mystery. Perhaps this matter would soon calm down. Lin Feng naturally understood this. He hoped that things would get worse and that Nebula Pavilion would punish Xingxian severely. Brat, just you wait! Xingxian clenched his teeth. He could only choose to submit for the time being. However, he did not forget to say some harsh words to threaten Lin Feng. Lin Feng said calmly, "You should worry about yourself." Xingxian's face was distorted by Lin Feng's anger. TSK, there's going to be a good show to watch now. Originally, this elder Xingxian was one of the few elders that Nebula Pavilion focused on nurturing. In the future, he might even be promoted to the position of Great Elder. But now that something like this has happened, even if he doesn't receive punishment from Nebula Pavilion, his future can be considered to have come to an end. That's right. No matter what, Nebula Pavilion would not promote a cultivator with bad conduct to the position of Great Elder in order to take into consideration the consequences. Many people looked at Xingxian with a gloating expression. Lin Feng closed his eyes to rest, no longer paying attention to Xingxian. He knew that what he needed to do now was to raise his cultivation as quickly as possible. It was true that one's own strength was strong enough. If he had the strength, he would be able to slap Xingxian to death with one slap just now. There would be no need for Head Elder Zhang Quan to make a move. More and more cultivators gathered in the Thunderstorm Valley. Clearly, it was not only the cultivators of the Waste region who had come. Some of the regions adjacent to the Waste region had also sent young geniuses to enter the Thunderblade's secret realm. Rumble. 3 days later, a loud noise shook the sky. The restriction in the Thunderstorm Valley was disappearing bit by bit. Everyone's spirits were greatly lifted. Was the restriction in the Thunderstorm Valley finally going to open? Looking from afar, one could see golden rays of light scattering in all directions. Finally, a golden door, like a door of time and space, emitted a power that could distort time and space, as if it was connecting 2 different worlds. It's opened. Pass through that door and you can enter the Thunderblade's secret realm. Head Elder Zhang Quan shouted loudly. He looked at the unusually excited disciples of the Blue Cloud sect and felt very envious. The Thunderstorm Valley that only opened once every 500 years was actually encountered by these brats. Their generation's luck was really too good. Enter the secret realm. Head Elder Zhang Quan waved his hand. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The disciples of the Blue Cloud sect all rushed into the Thunderstorm Valley. The first batch of people to enter the Thunderstorm Valley was naturally the disciples of the 4 great sects of the Desolate region, followed by the ancient forces of the Desolate region and the top forces from the outer regions. Then came the aristocratic families, the disciples of the small sects, and the independent cultivators. Brother Feng, it's great that you're fine. A familiar voice came from behind, and Yu Fan was pleasantly surprised. Han Shu also rushed over and looked at Lin Feng with an excited expression. You all joined Nebula Pavilion? Not bad. Lin Feng smiled and said, This isn't the place to talk. Let's quickly enter the Thunderblade's secret realm, and then we can talk. Okay. Yu Fan and Han Shu both nodded. Whoosh. When they arrived in front of the golden door, Lin Feng directly rushed into the huge door that was over 100 meters tall and tens of meters wide. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt that he was enveloped by a terrifying power. The power of time and space. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. This kind of power was the same as the power of the restriction during the Blue Cloud sex assessment. It was just that the power here was much stronger. Whoosh. In the next moment, Lin Feng felt that he was thrown out by the power of time and space. He appeared in a dense forest, and his surroundings were quiet. There was no one around, and he didn't know where he had been teleported to. Lin Feng had just stabilized himself when a black light suddenly burst out. It was as fast as lightning and shot towards Lin Feng's chest. Danger! Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. He reacted extremely quickly and quickly dodged the attack. Then, he casually slashed out with his blade energy. However, the black light was too fast. It actually dodged Lin Feng's attack and disappeared into the forest. Lin Feng was about to leave when he felt a slight pain in his ankle. He looked down and found that he had been stung by a small insect. Then, he felt dizzy and his whole body became weak. Poison! Lin Feng's expression changed greatly. Such a small insect could actually poison him. The poison was too terrifying. At the same time, the towering trees in the surroundings came to life. Haha, it seems that the Thunderblade's secret territory has opened. More human cultivators have come in. Our hunting time is up. Ferocious and terrifying faces appeared on the huge trees. Tree demons? The surrounding trees were all tree demons. Pa 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 pa, dense branches whipped towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng wanted to dodge, but he found that he couldn't move his body. With a bang, Lin Feng was sent flying by the tree demon's branches. Even with his strong body, he couldn't withstand it. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground with a thump. Chapter 537. F***CK, I can't move! Lin Feng clenched his teeth. The little bug's poison was too strong, and he couldn't move at all. Pa pa pa! At that moment, the tree monsters didn't stop attacking. Their branches were still moving towards Lin Feng, trying to bind him. This kid is mine! Shouted one of the tree spirits. I'm going to eat this kid! Then, another tree demon roared. Don't fight with me! This kid is mine! The third tree demon also yelled. The tree spirits attacked Lin Feng one after another. Their branches had sharp thorns that could pierce into a person's body and absorb their flesh. At that moment, Lin Feng was about to be surrounded by the numerous branches. At that critical moment, Lin Feng released a monstrous fire from his body. Lin Feng's purple core fire was burning fiercely. Not only did it dissolve the poison in Lin Feng's body, but at the same time, it also ignited the branches of the tree which were wrapped around Lin Feng's body. My body is burning! My body is burning too! The treants screamed in horror as they whipped their thick branches in all directions. The treants tried their best to extinguish the flames on their bodies, but to their horror, they couldn't do it at all. The flames were too strong. This was heavenly fire. Very quickly, the first tree spirit was engulfed in flames. Lin Feng jumped up from the ground and looked coldly at the burning tree spirits. No! I don't want to die! Spare me! The tree spirit looked at Lin Feng in fear and begged loudly. However, Lin Feng didn't move. He just let the tree spirit be burned to ashes. Spare us! If you spare us, we'll tell you a secret! Shouted a tree spirit. Oh? A secret? What secret? Lin Feng's eyes lit up. These tree spirits lived in the Thunder Blade's secret territory, so it was normal for them to know some secrets. We know there's a medicinal valley here, shouted a tree spirit. Medicine Valley? Lin Feng was surprised. That's right, it's a medicinal valley. There are many medicinal herbs growing there. 300 years ago, there was a 30,000-year-old medicinal herb that had practiced cultivation and turned into a human. One of the tree demons shouted. 30,000 years? Lin Feng's eyes widened. Wasn't this too shocking? Another treant said. As long as you spare us, we'll tell you about the Medicine Valley. You can go collect all sorts of spirit medicines and make a fortune. All right, tell me the location of the Medicine Valley, and I'll spare your lives. Lin Feng's lips curled into a faint smile. Whoosh! In the forest, Lin Feng flashed quickly. He was now very excited, because during this period of time, Lin Feng had been refining all kinds of spirit medicines, and had destroyed many of them. He was worried that there would not be enough herbs for him to continue learning how to refine New Dawn. A medicinal valley appeared here. Of course, the most important thing was that the medicinal valley could contain spirit medicines that were tens of thousands of years old. If he could find one, it would be priceless. Is the medicinal valley in front of me? Looking at the huge valley in the distance, Lin Feng smiled. When he arrived next to the medicinal valley, he did not rashly enter. This was because the medicinal valley was emitting faint energy fluctuations. It was obvious that the valley was surrounded by restrictions. However, since the 30,000-year-old medicinal herb had walked out after transforming, it meant that the restrictions were damaged. As long as he could find the broken restrictions, he would be able to enter the medicinal valley. Fortunately, Lin Feng was a spirit array master. After searching for more than an hour, Lin Feng finally found the location of the broken restrictions. However, Lin Feng was not sure if he could enter from there, so Lin Feng went out and caught a ferocious beast, then threw it over. This was called throwing a stone to test the waters. When the ferocious beast entered the broken restrictions, it was not attacked. Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief and also entered in a flash. Soon, he passed through the layers of restrictions and entered the medicinal valley. A thick medicinal fragrance that could not be dispersed assaulted his senses. Lin Feng looked around. In the huge valley, spiritual herbs could be seen everywhere as far as the eye could see. Not far away, there was a 1,000-year-old blood ginseng. After taking a few more steps, there was a 2,000-year-old scorching sun grass. 1 meter away from the scorching sun grass, there was even a 3,000-year-old soul-dissolving grass. Lin Feng had a feeling that he was dazzled by the sight of all these herbs. Oh my God, I'm really going to be rich! Lin Feng was so excited that his whole body was trembling. 1,000-year-old spirit medicines were extremely precious. In this medicinal valley, there were too many 1,000-year-old spirit medicines. Many of them were more than a few thousand years old. I'm rich! I'm really rich! Lin Feng shouted excitedly. He began to quickly collect the spirit medicines. While Lin Feng was collecting the spirit medicines, more than 10 cultivators flew over from afar. These cultivators were all wearing the deity sword Villa's disciple robes. Each of them had a strong and deep aura. These people were not outer sect disciples, but inner sect disciples of the deity sword Villa. They were the elites of the sect. Junior Sister Dongnan, this is the medicinal valley that Master mentioned. 500 years ago, an ancestor of our sect accidentally found this place when he was young. Unfortunately, when the ancestor found this medicinal valley, the Thunderblade's secret territory was about to close. The ancestor could only remember the location and left in a hurry. The person who spoke was a blue-clothed cultivator called Lan Zijuan. This blue-clothed cultivator was very handsome. He was quite famous among the inner sect disciples of the deity sword Villa. There were more than 10 disciples of the deity sword Villa gathered around him. The female disciple called Dongnan was tall, and her slender legs were especially attractive. Dongnan had a beautiful but cold face. She nodded and said, However, Master said that this place is densely covered with restrictions. However, it seems that one of the restrictions is broken. This is our chance. If we can find the broken restriction, we can enter. How long will it take? Lan Zijuan asked. With my current level as a spiritual array master, it will take at least 3 days, Dongnan said. Okay. Lan Zijuan nodded. Lin Feng spent 3 days collecting all the spirit medicines that were more than 100 years old in the medicinal valley. As for those that were less than 100 years old, Lin Feng was too lazy to collect them. The spirit medicines that were less than 100 years old had ordinary value. It would be a waste of time to collect them. Moreover, Lin Feng understood the principle of draining the pond to catch all the fish. He had to leave some spirit medicines behind so that the medicinal valley would not be destroyed. He counted. There were about 100,000 spirit medicines from 100 years to 1,000 years old. There were about 30,000 spirit medicines from 1,000 years to 5,000 years old. There were fewer spirit medicines that were more than 5,000 years old. Spirit medicines that were more than 5,000 years old were too rare. Any one of them was priceless. They were the main ingredients for refining earth tier pills. If it was an 8,000-year-old spirit medicine, it would be the main ingredient for refining heaven tier pills. There were a total of 1,200 spirit medicines between 5,000 and 8,000 years old. There were 300 spirit medicines between 8,000 and 10,000 years old. There was only one 10,000-year-old spirit medicine. It was a heart-nourishing grass. What a pity! What a pity! There's only one 10,000-year-old spirit medicine. Lin Feng could not help but feel a little regretful. A 10,000-year-old spirit medicine could bring the dead back to life. It was a rare treasure that could save a person's life at a critical moment. It was a treasure that could cause a bloodbath. However, it was very difficult for a spirit medicine to grow to 10,000 years old. When a spirit medicine transformed into a 10,000-year-old spirit medicine, it would encounter a heavenly tribulation. If it could withstand the heavenly tribulation, it would be able to transform into a 10,000-year-old spirit medicine. However, it would be too difficult for him to withstand the heavenly tribulation. It would be good if one 10,000-year-old spirit medicine appeared out of 10,000 spirit medicines that were about to transform. However, Lin Feng was already very happy to be able to obtain such a 10,000-year-old spirit medicine. The protection of this medicinal valley was too great. Lin Feng rushed outside. Soon, he disappeared into the restriction. Found it! The broken restriction is here! Dong Nan pointed at a location. Lan Zijuan and the others were excited. However, at this moment, waves of shocking fluctuations came from the broken restriction. Chapter 538. Why is the restrictive spell releasing such powerful energy waves? Lan Zijuan's expression suddenly changed. I don't know. Let's retreat quickly. Let's go, said Dong Nan. Swoosh, 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 Lan Zijuan and the others didn't dare hesitate, and quickly retreated. In the next moment, there was a flash of light and a silhouette flew out of the restrictive spell. Lan Zijuan and the others' expressions suddenly changed. Someone had entered the medicinal valley before them. Their expressions became extremely gloomy, but when they saw Lin Feng come out of the valley alone, they suddenly felt cold. The Thunderblade's secret territory was extremely cruel. Why didn't the Blue Cloud sect recommend ordinary disciples to come here? It was precisely because of the slaughter that was taking place everywhere. If an ordinary disciple were to enter, only death would await them. Lin Feng looked at the dozen people in front of him in surprise. He glanced at their clothes and knew that they were all disciples of Deity Sword Villa. They all had powerful qi, so they were obviously very strong. Brother, you must have protected the medicinal valley quite well, right? Asked Lan Zijuan with a fake smile. Lin Feng nodded and said, Not bad. The corners of Lan Zijuan and the others' mouths twitched violently. That young man had answered seriously, but he didn't seem nervous at all. Did he not see the situation he was in? Such a big medicinal valley with so many spiritual herbs. I don't think a single person can eat all of them, said Lan Zijuan with a fake smile. I can eat all of them even if you give me another medicinal valley like this, said Lin Feng. Fuck! Little brat, are you doing this on purpose? Shouted a disciple of deity Sword Villa called Jiangbo. He had been itching to attack for a long time. The Thunderblade's secret territory was a place where the strong preyed on the weak. If the weak were killed, they could only blame themselves for not being strong enough. In Jiangbo's opinion, Lin Feng was only a general, so it didn't matter if he killed him. Brother Jiangbo! Dong Nan frowned slightly as she softly called out to stop him. Jiangbo didn't see Lin Feng's extraordinariness, but Dong Nan saw it. Dong Nan believed that Lan Zijuan also saw it. They had only been in the Thunderblade's secret realm for 3 days. However, this young man had actually come out after collecting all the spiritual herbs in the Thunderblade's secret realm. If he was alone, he would need at least 2 to 3 days to pick all the spirit herbs in the entire Medicine Valley. In other words, this person was a spiritual array master who was much more powerful than him. Otherwise, he would not have been able to enter the Medicine Valley. Generally speaking, powerful spirit array masters had strange methods, so Lan Zijuan didn't directly make a move. Lan Zijuan chuckled and said, Brother, please don't take offense. My junior brother's temper has always been this irritable. I'll definitely restrain him in the future. Pausing for a moment, Lan Zijuan continued, Actually, it's like this. I have a few junior brothers who are alchemists, and are lacking some spirit medicines. Is this brother willing to part with them? Why don't you give some to us? Lin Feng's lips curled into a mocking smile. This Lan Zijuan obviously wanted his spirit medicines, but he still had the nerve to say it so slowly. He was really shameless. Lin Feng said indifferently, No problem. 8 or 10 of them are just a greeting gift to you. Many people's faces immediately darkened. Jiangbo sneered and said, Do you think we're beggars? Oh? How much do you want? Lin Feng asked. How about we split it 1 by 1? Lan Zijuan smiled. I'll take 9 and you'll get 1? Lin Feng raised his eyebrows. Lan Zijuan smiled and said, Brother, you must be joking. Brother, you're alone, and we have so many people. Naturally, we'll take 9, and you'll get 1. Lan Zijuan's gentle voice carried a hint of threat. His meaning was obvious. They had more people on their side, so if they knew what was good for them, they would take out 90% of the spirit medicines. Lin Feng said indifferently, Do you think you can be so confident in robbing people now? Get out of my sight, or don't blame me for being impolite. Kid, what did you say? Kid, you think too highly of yourself? You're just a general, yet you dare to be so arrogant in front of us? You're courting death. Brat, are you courting death? Senior brother Lan, why are you talking so much to this kid? We have so many people here. Which one of us isn't an expert? Are you afraid that we can't deal with this kid? A group of Deity Sword Villa's disciples shouted coldly. Lan Zijuan's expression gradually darkened. He said, Brother, I've already given you enough face. You're not giving me any face. Scram. Lin Feng spat out coldly. Lan Zijuan's expression changed again. He said coldly, Teach this kid a lesson. I'll do it. Jiangbo sneered and stepped forward. Lan Zijuan nodded. Even though Jiangbo was extremely arrogant, he was a cultivator of the 7th celestial layer. He was extremely strong. The others were also smiling coldly at Lin Feng. In their opinion, Lin Feng was just a general. He wouldn't be able to withstand a single attack from Jiangbo. Kid, I've given you face, but you don't want it. Today I'll kill you, said Jiangbo, smiling evilly. In a flash, he appeared in front of Lin Feng and used a tiger's roar to attack Lin Feng. The sound of a tiger's roar could be faintly heard in the forest. Lin Feng looked indifferent. He raised his right hand and used the Sky Tyrant Lightning incantation. Lightning curled around him and moved forward. Bang! The purple thunderbolt directly exploded and violently bombarded Jiangbo's body. Whoa! Jiangbo's arm exploded and his body was covered in blood. He screamed and was blown away. No one knew if he was dead or alive. Not good, he's ferocious. Let's kill him together. Lan Zijuan didn't try to hide his killing intent anymore. Shouted Lan Zijuan coldly. He then took out his sword and rushed towards Lin Feng. Die, kid! Swoosh, swoosh, cold light shot everywhere. More than 10 disciples of Deity Sword Villa took out their swords and attacked Lin Feng. Eh? Lin Feng frowned. If he was surrounded by so many strong cultivators, the situation wouldn't be good. Blade Chi! Shouted Lin Feng, raising his right hand. Bzzz. The blade Chi that contained a spirit was instantly destroyed by Lin Feng. Cold lights flashed everywhere. The blade Chi was dazzling. Lan Zijuan and the other disciples of Deity Sword Villa turned pale when they sensed the blade Chi. They felt as if they were surrounded by an endless amount of blade Chi. Slash! The sound of a body being pierced was heard. The blade Chi split mountains and rivers. More than 10 disciples of Deity Sword Villa were pierced through by the blade Chi. Their faces turned deathly pale as they were blown away. Lin Feng stepped forwards, wanting to kill those people. At that moment, the female disciple called Dong and threw a few dozen talismans at him. Lin Feng's expression changed and he quickly retreated. Bang, 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 then the talismans exploded. When the shockwaves dispersed, Lin Feng walked out of the dust. He couldn't see the people of Deity Sword Villa anymore. Chapter 539. Dozens of miles away, a blood-red light quickly fell into the forest. Wah! A group of people from Deity Sword Villa fell down, each of them spitting out mouthfuls of blood. Their faces were pale. These people were Lan Zijuan and the others, who had used their sex-secret technique to escape. How could this be? Lan Zijuan shook his head in disbelief. That kid's cultivation level wasn't high, so how could he have killed so many of them with a single slash? It's a spirit! That saber chi contained a spirit! Dong Nan was a spirit array master, and her spirit was very powerful. She sensed something different and said, Spirit? Lan Zijuan and the others revealed a terrified expression. They naturally knew what a spirit was. It gave attacks. Spirituality. The power of an attack would increase exponentially. This was the so-called spirit. They had once seen an elder of the Deity Sword Villa who had comprehended the spirit unleash a sword technique. With a slash of his sword, the sword energy actually flew out 1,000 miles and killed a cultivator wanted by the Deity Sword Villa. That was how terrifying a spirit was. However, even yin-yang realm cultivators who could comprehend a spirit were as rare as phoenix feathers and qilin horns. That kid was only a general, so how could he have comprehended a spirit? Lan Zijuan's expression was gloomy as he said, Could it be that that guy has cultivated some kind of cultivation technique that conceals his cultivation level? His cultivation level is actually very high. I heard that cultivators who are about to enter the yin-yang realm have a certain chance of comprehending a spirit. Dong Nan shook her head and said, No, his cultivation level isn't high. I can feel it. Lan Zijuan believed Dong Nan's words, but when he heard her, he couldn't help but frown and say, If his cultivation level is low, how could his attack contain a spirit? Maybe he had a fortuitous encounter and managed to refine a blade chi that contained a spirit, and it wasn't his own spirit, Dong Nan said. How lucky! He's so lucky! Lan Zijuan's eyes were wide open. When he thought about how terrifying Lin Feng's blade chi was, his heart was filled with endless jealousy. How could that kid have such an amazing fortuitous encounter? Why didn't he have one? Let's go and find senior brother Eugene, Lan Zijuan said with a sinister smile. Brother Lan, we're just injured, nobody is dead. I don't think we should keep talking about this. That person is not simple. Dong Nan frowned slightly. She naturally knew why Lan Zijuan was looking for senior brother Eugene. Eugene was one of the top 50 experts in the inner yard of the Deity Sword Villa. His strength was extremely terrifying. The reason why that kid's combat strength is so strong is all because of the refined saber chi. However, how many times can he use such a powerful saber chi at once? I'll ask senior apprentice brother Eugene to help me kill that brat. His saber chi will belong to me, and I can see that he has quite a few treasures on him, as well as many spirit medicines. When the time comes, I won't take any of them. Lan Zijuan said somewhat crazily. Dong Nan was also a bit moved. She thought about it. Lin Feng's cultivation level wasn't very high. It shouldn't be a problem to find someone as strong as Eugene to kill him. When Eugene had just broken through to the Martial King layer, he had already defeated cultivators of the 5th celestial layer. He was a monstrous genius. Now, Eugene was already a cultivator of the 9th celestial layer. Nobody knew how strong he was now. However, it was obvious that if one wanted to invite someone as strong as Eugene, they would have to pay a huge price. But that was all Lan Zijuan needed to care about. She didn't need to care about it. She was only interested in the treasures on that brat's body. She might even be able to find some powerful deployment spells. Thinking about deployment spells, Dong Nan was a bit excited. Swoosh! Lin Feng was running at full speed in the forest. From time to time, he would look back and see a shadow tiger chasing after him. The serene shadow tiger was the king of the forest. Not only was it fast, but it also had sharp fangs and a tail like a scorpion. Its tail was also poisonous. Lin Feng was in the forest when the dark ravine attacked him by surprise. They had a great battle and the dark ravine had clawed Lin Feng's left arm. In a flash, Lin Feng's arm was covered in blood. The serene shadow tiger was really terrifying. Roar! A low roar came from behind as a black shadow quickly chased after him. The serene shadow tiger's cold eyes stared at Lin Feng. A terrifying killing intent swept past Lin Feng. The serene shadow tiger only hunted creatures with powerful bloodlines. This kind of creature would constantly evolve by devouring creatures with powerful bloodlines. Therefore, the serene shadow tiger's strength was usually very terrifying. Now that the serene shadow tiger had locked onto Lin Feng, it wanted to devour Lin Feng's bloodline. Whoosh! At this time, Lin Feng rushed into a huge abyss. When he rushed in, he felt an endless rumbling sound in his ears. It was as if a peerless weapon was vibrating. In an instant, a cold and gloomy aura swept over his body. Lin Feng felt like he had fallen into an endless hell. Murderous qi, it's so dense that it can't be dispersed. Lin Feng's face was full of shock. How could there be such a terrifying murderous qi? Even though he saw Zhong Yun and the Beast Emperor in the fog fight, he was still shocked. Compared to the murderous aura emitted by Supreme Being Zhong Yun and the Beast Emperor, it paled in comparison to the murderous aura emitted by the Abyss. The murderous qi here was too terrifying. It was hard to imagine what kind of cultivator could release such a terrifying murderous qi. Lin Feng felt like his body was going to be dismembered by the murderous qi. Roar! At this time, when the shadow tiger saw Lin Feng stop, it roared excitedly and rushed into the abyss to kill Lin Feng. Poof! In the next moment, the shadow tiger was instantly pierced by the murderous qi in the abyss. Its body exploded, and it died a tragic death. This is too scary. Lin Feng suddenly felt a chill down his spine. A powerful creature like the shadow tiger died in such a tragic manner. It was hard to imagine how powerful the murderous qi in the valley was. Buzz! A murderous qi shot out and slashed towards Lin Feng. The murderous qi instantly enveloped Lin Feng's body. Ah! Lin Feng roared and tried to use his strongest attack to block it. Saber qi. Lin Feng released blade qi which contained the spirit of the blade and collided with the deadly qi which was moving towards him. Clang! When the saber qi and the murderous qi collided, a terrifying energy wave swept out and directly sent Lin Feng flying. The murderous qi was too terrifying. It broke Lin Feng's saber qi and slashed towards Lin Feng again. It's over. Lin Feng's face became as pale as paper. The saber will never be destroyed. At this moment of life and death, Lin Feng suddenly heard a low voice. It sounded like a voice from thousands of years ago. It passed through endless time and space and reached his ears. Buzz! Behind Lin Feng, a river of stars appeared. In the middle of the river of stars was a gigantic silhouette. He was holding a lightning blade, and the sky was shaking because of him. Chapter 540. Lin Feng looked over and saw a majestic figure. His heart was filled with shock. Who was he? Could he be the legendary ancient expert who had almost split the desolate realm apart with a single slash? One question after another flashed through Lin Feng's mind. When that mysterious figure appeared, the killing intent that had been aimed at Lin Feng actually soared into the sky. That killing intent soared into the sky, and battle intent shook the starry sky. What a terrifying killing intent! What a terrifying battle intent! Lin Feng was horrified. The mysterious godlike existence with the thunder blade in his hand was definitely related to the murderous aura in this place. Roar! The roar shook the sky, and endless killing intent condensed into a huge axe. Next, a three-headed, six-armed god-fiend appeared, wielding a huge axe. It was as powerful as the god-fiend that had created the world. This is... Lin Feng was shocked. The scene in front of him was very strange. Is the battle from the past happening again? A thought flashed through Lin Feng's mind. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Perhaps everything in front of him really was a scene from the ancient era. Boom! The two experts engaged in a frenzied battle above the 9 heavens. The mysterious cultivator wielding the lightning saber had the domineering aura of a supreme being. As for the ancient devil wielding the huge axe, his demonic aura was vast and mighty. This was the clash of two Taos. The Tao of the saber. It represented endless domineering aura. The Tao of the axe. It represented absolute power. One used the domineering aura of a supreme being to destroy all obstacles. The other used absolute power to crush all obstacles in front of him. Whether it was the Tao of the saber or the Tao of the axe, they were both peerless heaven-defying divine arts. Every time the lightning saber and axe clashed, Lin Feng saw the stars and the starry sky shatter. If an ancient expert were to stand on the martial heaven continent, just a roar from them would be enough to shatter the stars in outer space. Furthermore, these two existences were fighting in the starry sky. The stars in the Milky Way fell like raindrops due to the shockwaves. They're definitely at least gods. Lin Feng was deeply shocked. If one was not a god, it would be impossible to achieve such a feat no matter if it was the overbearing thunder blade. Furthermore, it was an axe light that represented absolute power. They were all unimaginably terrifying. Lin Feng actually preferred the axe Tao. Because Lin Feng cultivated the immemorial dragonesque elephant art, he was known for his strength. His strength was dozens of times stronger than cultivators of the same level. If he could cultivate the axe Tao, it would simply be a perfect fusion with his body. However, Lin Feng simply could not comprehend the profoundness and mystery of the axe Tao. His gaze was fixed on the powerful being holding the thunder saber. This was the application of the saber Tao. Even though they were separated by endless space-time, Lin Feng could still sense an indescribable domineering aura from that existence. That kind of domineering aura, who else could it be but me? This was a will so strong that it was shocking. This was the will of the saber. Lin Feng was carefully comprehending the will of the saber. Originally, Lin Feng could not comprehend the will of the saber contained in the thunder saber. However, Lin Feng had refined the saber energy that contained a spirit. Spirit was a manifestation of the Tao. Lin Feng could be said to have mastered some of the saber Tao in advance. Although the pitiful Tao of saber he had mastered was like the light of a firefly compared to the Tao of saber contained in the thunder saber above the 9th heaven, it was still the Tao of saber. Under the guidance of the saber Tao that he had mastered, Lin Feng slowly comprehended the Tao contained in the thunder saber. This Tao was known as the Tao of tyranny. Lin Feng was immersed in a mysterious aura. Clang, 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 the battle in the sky continued. The saber light was dazzling, and the axe light tore the world apart. The two Taos seemed to be equally matched. God slaying. Suddenly, the three-headed, six-armed god-fiend let out a low roar. He waved the huge axe in his hand and slashed at the expert with the thunder saber. Suddenly, the axe light soared into the sky, and a huge axe condensed from light appeared. That huge axe was the god's slaying axe. Even a god would be split in half by this axe. It was so terrifying that ghosts would cry and gods would howl. When the axe came down, the outer realm's star river world trembled. This was a battle between god realm experts. This is too scary. Is the expert with the thunder saber going to lose? Lin Feng looked at the battle in the sky in shock. He naturally hoped that the expert with the thunder saber would win. Because of the killing intent from before. The killing intent that almost took Lin Feng's life. It was condensed from the will of the axe and slashed at Lin Feng. It was the will of the saber here that saved him. The battle in the sky was actually a clash between two Daos. The Dao of the axe. The Dao of the saber. The huge axe condensed from the axe light slashed at the expert with the thunder saber. The axe light was about to drown the expert with the thunder saber. At that moment, the expert with the thunder saber slashed out with a peerless saber. Sky-splitting! A low roar resounded through the starry sky. Sky-splitting saber was slashed out by the expert with the thunder saber. The heavens were the heavenly Tao. The supreme heavenly Tao. People were born, grew old, got sick, and died. The heavenly Tao dominated the climate, the changes in the seasons, and so on. However, the attack of the expert with the thunder saber was called sky-splitting. It meant to split open the heavenly Tao. The cultivators of the various heavens could not even split open the heavenly Tao. Who would dare to challenge the dignity of the heavenly Tao? If anyone dared to challenge the dignity of the heavenly Tao, a lightning tribulation would be enough to destroy them. However, the cultivator with the thunder saber was too domineering. The move, sky-splitting, was slashed out. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt that everything in the world disappeared. Only the saber was left. Clang! The sky-splitting saber that slashed out from the endless starry sky instantly pierced through the axe light. This was a collision of Tao. The Tao contained in the thunder saber broke the Tao contained in the giant axe. The sky-splitting saber tore the three-headed and six-armed god-fiend apart. Then, the endless stars in the starry sky world were shattered. The dazzling saber light pierced through the endless starry sky and landed on the Tianwu continent. Puff! With one slash, more than half of the desolate region was almost shattered. This was the process of the Thunder Saber Secret Realm's formation. Lin Feng closed his eyes and stood in the valley. His mind was filled with the invincible saber. Lin Feng had entered a mysterious state. This was the state of enlightenment that cultivators dreamed of. My body is the saber, my will is the saber, the supreme saber. Even if I die, I have no regrets. Lin Feng suddenly had a realization. He seemed to have sensed the state of mind of the supreme expert from the ancient era. In order to slash out the saber, even if his body and Tao were to disappear, he had no regrets. Swoosh! Lin Feng opened his eyes. He raised his right hand and gently waved it at a 10,000-meter-tall mountain in the distance. Buzz! A 300-meter-long saber light instantly slashed out and split the 10,000-meter-tall mountain in half. I actually comprehended the sky-splitting saber. Lin Feng looked at his hand with a pleasantly surprised expression. Chapter 541. Roar! An earth-shattering roar came from the forest. More than 10 cultivators were engaged in a fierce battle with a ferocious beast. But in the end, the cultivators suffered heavy casualties. Only 2 of them survived. However, they had obtained the inner core of the ferocious beast and an 8,000-year-old mystical fiend fruit that was guarded by the ferocious beast. This spirit fruit was extremely useful for cultivators with a dark elemental martial soul. Cultivators with a dark elemental martial soul would have their cultivation improved by leaps and bounds after refining the mystical fiend fruit. If they took it out for auction, it would definitely be sold for a sky-high price. The 2 cultivators dragged their injured bodies and rushed into the distance. Swoosh! However, at this moment, a cold light shot out from the forest. A silver snake flying sword was extremely fast. Before the two cultivators could react, the silver snake flying sword had already pierced through their bodies. Why did this happen? The two cultivators cried out unwillingly. Then, they fell to the ground and died. A cultivator in his 30s dressed in green jumped down from the tree. He put away the silver snake flying sword and walked to the two corpses. He took the storage rings from the dead cultivators and quickly left. This was the Thunderblade's secret realm. Everywhere was filled with killing. Cultivators in the Yin-Yang realm could not enter this place. Cultivators in the Martial King realm could do whatever they wanted, including killing people and robbing them of their treasures. The law of the jungle was played out vividly here. If one's cultivation was insufficient, entering this place was simply courting death. Lin Feng chose a direction and kept walking. The Thunderblade's secret realm was too big and had countless resources, so he was not in a hurry. Lin Feng constantly took the initiative to look for powerful, ferocious beasts to fight to test the power of sky-splitting. However, it was obvious that the power of sky-splitting was simply unimaginable. Sky-splitting was not as simple as spirit. Sky-splitting also contained an extremely domineering will, the will of the saber. This was the ability after the spirit was sublimated. Spirit was the simplest form of spirituality and consciousness. As for will, it had risen to a very high level. After fighting with a flood dragon for dozens of rounds, Lin Feng was suppressed by the flood dragon to the point that he almost didn't have the strength to fight back. In the end, he used Sky Splitter and almost tore the flood dragon apart. The evil flood dragon roared, turned around, and fled into the depths of the forest. Lin Feng, on the other hand, was sitting on the ground, panting heavily. Although this move, Sky Splitting, was powerful, it was not something that could be casually used. After using it once, Lin Feng would feel tired. The main reason was that Lin Feng's cultivation level was not high enough. After resting for a while, he walked in the forest. Suddenly, behind Lin Feng, the dense golden threads suddenly flew out and quickly flew towards Lin Feng. The threads flickered with a cold light. Anything that was touched by the threads, whether it was a tree or a rock, was instantly split in half. The thread had already rushed behind Lin Feng and swept across Lin Feng's body. Pfft. Even though Lin Feng's physical body was extremely strong, there were still deep wounds on his body. Dozens of small wounds appeared on his body, and blood started flowing out. Oh no, someone is plotting against me! Lin Feng's face suddenly changed. He leaped and flew dozens of meters away, avoiding the attack of the threads. He narrowed his eyes and finally saw dozens of almost transparent threads entwined in the void. These threads were now stained with his blood. This was the first time Lin Feng had seen such a strange weapon. The person who had attacked was definitely an expert. Whoosh! A cultivator flew out from nearby and looked at Lin Feng with a cold smile. Kid, you're really lucky. You didn't die after being hit by my heavenly demonic threads. This cultivator was in his 20s and had a cold expression on his face. Who are you? Lin Feng looked at him coldly. Grand Baron Sect, Jin Yulong. The cultivator in his 20s said with a cold smile. The Grand Baron Sect was one of the 10 great ancient powers of the wasteland. Its strength was not to be underestimated. This treasure of yours is not bad, but it's too evil. I'm afraid it was refined using demonic techniques, right? Lin Feng said indifferently. People are divided into good and evil, but treasures are not, Jin Yulong said indifferently. That's right. Swoosh. Lin Feng took the initiative to rush towards Jin Yulong. This person wanted to kill him, so Lin Feng naturally would not be polite. You're quite brave. Not only did you not run away, but you also took the initiative to attack. I've already killed more than 20 people like you who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Looks like I'll kill one more now. Jin Yulong sneered and controlled the heavenly demonic threads to slash at Lin Feng. The densely packed heavenly demonic threads scattered and cut at Lin Feng from all directions. He didn't know what the heavenly demon silk was made of, but it was almost transparent. If it wasn't for the fact that it was stained with his blood, he wouldn't have been able to notice it. What a good treasure! I want this treasure! Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he reached out to grab the heavenly demonic threads. Brat, are you courting death? Jin Yulong was obviously stunned, but then he sneered. He actually dared to reach out to grab the heavenly demonic threads, a powerful and strange killing weapon. Wasn't he courting death? The heavenly demonic threads quickly attacked Lin Feng. The densely packed threads emitted a cold and terrifying aura, as if they wanted to mince Lin Feng into pieces. Devour! At that moment, Lin Feng waved his right hand and a distorted black hole appeared. The heavenly demonic threads that were attacking Lin Feng flew uncontrollably toward the black hole. In an instant, dozens of heavenly demonic threads were instantly devoured by the black hole. Bastard, my treasure! When Jin Yulong saw Lin Feng devour his treasure, his face became distorted. He quickly rushed over and threw a punch at Lin Feng. Humph, you're courting death! Lin Feng sneered. He took a step forward and a magnetic field surged out, enveloping Jin Yulong in an instant. I can't move! Jin Yulong screamed in fear. Pooh! A moment later, Lin Feng's fist pierced through Jin Yulong's chest. Jin Yulong's eyes were wide open in anger. He lowered his head and looked at his collapsed chest, his face full of disbelief. I actually died at the hands of a brat like you. How could this be? Jin Yulong could not believe it. The brat in front of him was clearly a general, while he himself was a martial king of the 6th celestial layer. How could he have lost? Your strength is really terrifying. I think you're one of those geniuses who can challenge cultivators who are stronger than you. If it were anyone else, they would have died without a doubt. But I'm sorry, even though my cultivation level is not high, my fighting abilities have already surpassed that of a martial king, said Lin Feng indifferently. I see, said Jin Yulong with a bitter smile. He fell to the ground, completely lifeless. Chapter 542. After taking Jin Yulong's storage ring, Lin Feng quickly left. At night, Lin Feng fought with the fierce beasts during the day. At night, he observed the star chart and absorbed the energy in the heaven star soul jade, hoping that his soul power could break through to the creation realm. Of course, Lin Feng knew that this was not an easy task. Perhaps breaking through a small cultivation level was not particularly difficult, but breaking through a large cultivation level was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Not only did it require an unimaginable amount of energy, it also required luck to be able to comprehend the mysteries of the soul of a cultivator at the creation stage. Lin Feng had been in the Thunderblade secret realm for 10 days, but he had not found Tian Zhongdao, Shiwei Zhu, Yu Fan, and the others. The Thunderblade secret realm was too large, and it was not easy to meet them. In the afternoon, Lin Feng heard that an ancient cultivator's cave had appeared in a mountain range, and many cultivators were heading toward that mountain range. An ancient cultivator's cave! Lin Feng was slightly surprised. The ancient cultivator's cave in the Thunderblade secret realm was not simple. Now, only cultivators below the Yinyang realm were allowed to enter the Thunderblade secret realm. According to Fire Kylin, this was because of the restriction of the Order Law. However, it was widely rumored in the Waste Domain that in the early days of the Thunderblade secret realm's formation, the Order Law of the Thunderblade secret realm had not yet stabilized. The Order Law inside was very violent, which directly caused the Thunderblade secret realm to be filled with danger. In that era, many top experts entered the Thunderblade secret realm to comprehend the Tao inside. Just like the sky splitting that Lin Feng had comprehended before. Of course, there was also the terrifying axe light. At that time, only the top experts could enter the Thunderblade secret realm. The chaotic order law could kill any cultivator who dared to enter the Thunderblade secret realm at will. Later, when the order law stabilized, many experts who entered the Thunderblade secret realm were trapped in the Thunderblade secret realm and could not leave. Therefore, many experts opened up cave residences. After countless years, when the Thunderblade secret realm opened again, those experts who were trapped in it had already died. This was the origin of the ancient cultivators' cave residences in the Thunderblade's secret realm. Those ancient cultivators were definitely earth-shattering figures. Now, which one of them didn't rule the heavens and look askance at the world? Therefore, after hearing about the ancient cultivators' cave, many people quickly rushed over. If they could obtain the inheritance of the ancient cultivators' cave, it would be a great opportunity. Lin Feng also came to the Thunderblade's secret realm. Lin Feng did not expect to meet Sun Yair here. Sun Yair's impression of him. Lin. But Yair's right. Yair. Yair, but. Lin. Yair, and. Yair. Yair. But Sun Yair. Sun Yair. She thought. Lin Feng had offended Elder Xing Xian. Sooner or later, he would die in the hands of Elder Xing Xian. Why should she have any interaction with a person who was about to die? There were 6 or 7 disciples besides Sun Yair, and each of them possessed extraordinary strength. Those disciples should be disciples of Nebula Pavilion, and Sun Yair was rather close with one of the leading disciples. From the looks of it, Sun Yair might have just met or dated a man. Senior brother, that guy is Lin Feng. A Nebula Pavilion disciple pointed at Lin Feng. The leader of the disciples looked over and sneered. This guy is really lucky. He killed Elder Xing Xian's precious nephew and he's still alive. The leading disciple was called Xia Ziheng. He was an 8th heavenly layer martial king and an inner disciple of Nebula Pavilion. Although the outer disciples and inner disciples of the major forces did not enter from the same place, because it was a random teleportation, some inner disciples were teleported to places far away. It was normal for them to be teleported to areas where outer disciples were active. This Lin Feng comes from a lowly background. However, he is still very strong. But since he offended Elder Xing Xian, only death awaits him. Sun Yair said. Senior brother, why don't you go and kill him? You can also receive a huge favor from Elder Xing Xian. A Nebula Pavilion disciple said. Xia Ziheng's eyes showed hesitation. One moment, his killing intent was awe-inspiring, and the next moment, it was restrained. He said, This guy more or less has met Almighty Zhongyun. It is not convenient for me to act. He is lucky. Thinking of Almighty Zhongyun, the other Nebula Pavilion disciples could not help but show expressions of reverence. The restriction in the depths of the mountain range has been activated. The ancient cultivator's cave must be about to appear. Someone shouted loudly. Immediately, over 1,000 cultivators rushed towards the depths of the mountain range. Lin Feng quickly moved through the crowd, but when he arrived at the outskirts of the valley in the depths of the mountain range, he could not help but frown when he saw that it was actually filled with over 1,000 cultivators. This is... Lin Feng's eyebrows suddenly twitched violently. He saw a great formation. It had just been set up. It was a profound level formation. What a terrifying formation! There is a killing formation here. Something is wrong. There is definitely something wrong with this valley. Lin Feng frowned. Everyone, there is a killing formation here. Something is wrong. I don't think we should stay here for long. Lin Feng said in a low voice. What does a trashy cultivator at the general realm like you know? Killing formation? What a joke. There are no yin-yang cultivators in the Thunderblade's secret realm. Who would dare to attack over 1,000 cultivators? Kid, what are you trying to do by saying such alarmist words? Many cultivators looked at Lin Feng coldly. Lin Feng felt helpless. He had warned them out of kindness, but they still targeted him. He felt like someone wanted to kill him. Lin Feng did not hesitate and rushed out of the valley. There were over 100 cultivators hidden in the surrounding mountains. These cultivators were led by 3 people. The person in the middle was very handsome and had an unfathomable aura. His name was Yi Xingchen, and he was one of the top 10 cultivators in the inner sect of the deity Sword Villa. It was said that he could have tried to break through to the yin-yang realm long ago, but in order to continue polishing his cultivation in the Thunderblade's secret realm, he had suppressed his cultivation for many years. The voluptuous woman next to Yi Xingchen was called Shuezime. Those spirit arrays were arranged by Shuezime. Shuizimei's talent in spirit arrays was amazing. She was known as a rare genius in spirit arrays by the deity Sword Manor. The third person was a teenager who looked to be about 11 or 12 years old. He had a lazy expression, as if he did not care about anything, but many of the disciples around him respected him. Shuizimei looked coldly at Lin Feng and said, "Although this kid's cultivation is not very high, he saw through my formation. He's not simple." Yi Xingchen said indifferently, "It seems like he's also a powerful spirit array master, but his strength is a bit lacking. I wonder which force he's from. Lu Xiao, take 2 of our junior brothers and go kill that brat. I think he should have a lot of treasures on him." "Yes, senior brother." A disciple took the order and quickly chased after Lin Feng with 2 other disciples. Yi Xingchen's lips curled into a sinister smile. "You almost ruined my plan. You deserve to die." Chapter 543. Boom! In the distance, a terrifying qi emerged, engulfing the earth and sky. Lin Feng's heart started pounding when he sensed that qi. Lin Feng looked into the distance and was shocked. Densely packed sword lights shot out from the valley. That area seemed to have turned into a world of swords. "So it's the deity Sword Mountain Villa?" Lin Feng frowned. He didn't know who had set up the trap, but when he saw the sword qi that blotted out the sky, he could guess who it was. Apart from the deity Sword Mountain Villa? Who else could perform such a powerful sword technique? In the valley, hundreds of deity Sword Mountain Villa's disciples performed the deity Sword Mountain Villa's 10,000 sword god-killing technique. Flying swords flew out one after another. Each flying sword was capable of slashing out tens of thousands of sword lights. Their power was truly terrifying to the extent that it was shocking. "Bastards of the deity Sword Mountain Villa, how dare you ambush me!" Some cultivators roared angrily, but they were killed by dozens of sword lights in the next moment. Blood flowed like a river in the valley. Yi Xingchen looked indifferent. "If we don't kill you, how can we open the cave? Only by killing you will I be able to use your flesh, blood, and soul as a sacrifice to the ancient cultivator's cave and open it." This massacre had only just begun. "The deity Sword Mountain Villa is crazy." Lin Feng frowned. He could guess why the deity Sword Mountain Villa had set up such a huge array to kill so many cultivators. There should be an ancient cultivator's immortal's cave in that mountain range, but it was surrounded by restrictions. They probably wanted to use a large number of cultivators' flesh, blood, and soul essence as a sacrifice to open the restrictions. Lin Feng was a spiritual array master, so he had heard of this kind of sacrificial technique, but he didn't know how to use it. There was no doubt that a top force like the deity Sword Mountain Villa would have such a powerful sacrificial technique. Although the sacrificial technique was very useful, it was too vicious. If it was outside, the deity Sword Mountain Villa wouldn't dare to use it. But in the Thunderblade's secret territory, this was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. It was also a place where killing was not prohibited by the major forces. This was especially true for those big sects who had sent their elite disciples to the Thunderblade's secret realm to train their elite disciples. Only by experiencing the baptism of life and death would these so-called genius disciples be able to quickly grow up and possess the ability to take charge of their own affairs. Otherwise, they were destined to vanish from the masses. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this moment, 3 cultivators came from behind and quickly caught up to Lin Feng. These 3 people were none other than Lu Xiao and the other 2 who had been sent by Yi Xingchen to hunt down Lin Feng. "Brat, stop!" Lu Xiao shouted coldly. Lin Feng slightly frowned, turned to the 3 people, and asked, "Who are you? Why did you call me?" A disciple of the deity Sword Mountain Villa beside Lu Xiao sneered. "I told you to stop, so you stopped. What an idiot! Did you escape from that valley? Today, we're here to take your life." The disciple of the deity Sword Mountain Villa, who was at the 4th heaven of the Martial King realm, sneered, jumped out, and punched towards Lin Feng. These people were all elite disciples of the deity Sword Mountain Villa with extraordinary strength. No wonder they had schemed against so many cultivators. There were more than 100 disciples of the deity Sword Mountain Villa who were at the Martial King realm, and a profound stage spirit array master. As long as they didn't encounter a yin-yang realm expert, no one would be a match for them. The fourth heaven of the Martial King realm cultivator in front of him obviously didn't take Lin Feng seriously. He was just a martial general realm cultivator. Wouldn't it be as easy as crushing an ant for him to kill this brat? Lu Xiao and the other disciple of the deity Sword Mountain Villa also looked at Lin Feng coldly with a murderous look in their eyes. They didn't care who Lin Feng was. In fact, in the Thunderblade secret realm, the so-called identity was no longer a deterrent. The rule here was that whoever's fist was harder would have the last laugh. When the fourth heaven of the Martial King realm cultivator who attacked Lin Feng rushed in front of Lin Feng, he saw the sneer on Lin Feng's face. He vaguely felt that something was wrong. Why didn't this brat show any panic or fear when he was about to die? Could it be a trap? The fourth heaven of the Martial King realm cultivator was puzzled. However, when he thought of Lin Feng's cultivation, he sneered. How could he be a threat when he was only at the fourth heaven of the Martial General realm? He saw that his fist was about to hit the brat in front of him. Suddenly, the disciple of the deity Sword Mountain Villa only saw a flash of light in front of his eyes. The next moment, he felt pain in his neck. Then, a large amount of blood spurted out. He covered his neck almost reflexively, but the blood still couldn't stop gushing out. He didn't understand why this seemingly weak guy in front of him was so terrifying. The next moment, he lost all consciousness. Junior brother Zhang Zi! Seeing Zhang Zi being killed by Lin Feng in an instant, Lu Xiao and the other disciple cried out in alarm. You dare kill someone from the deity Sword Mountain Villa? Brat, you're courting death! An angry roar was heard. Lu Xiao and the other disciple of the deity Sword Mountain Villa took out their swords and used the 10,000 swords god-killing technique. Hundreds of swords condensed and shot towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at the two indifferently. This is the Thunderblade's secret territory. Who cares which faction you're from? Boom! A distorted black hole appeared on Lin Feng's body. When the swords reached him, they were all swallowed by the black hole. Senior brother, I remember now. This is the Lin Feng that Elder Xing Xian from the Nebula Pavilion wanted to kill. The other disciple of the deity Sword Mountain Villa shouted in horror. What? He's that Lin Feng? Lu Zhao's expression turned ugly. Because there were too many people and they were too far away, Lu Xiao could only see Lin Feng's blurry figure. She couldn't see his face, so it was normal that she didn't know who he was. The other disciple of the deity Sword Mountain Villa was closer to Lin Feng, so he could see Lin Feng's face. This guy killed a deacon from the Nebula Pavilion. When they thought of this, their faces turned pale. Sword controlling technique. The two took out their flying swords, stepped on them, and turned into beams of light as they fled into the distance. Sky splitter. Lin Feng murmured and waved his right hand. A streak of purple light flashed past. Lu Xiao and the other disciple of the deity Sword Mountain Villa, who had already fled a few hundred meters away, had their chests pierced by the sword light. They only felt an endless darkness before they were completely swallowed by it. Their corpses fell from the sky. Chapter 544. This sky-rending sword is really powerful, murmured Lin Feng. He quickly took the three people's storage rings and left. Not long after Lin Feng left, two mysterious people in black clothes appeared. Is it that person's Qi? Asked one of them. His voice was hoarse, cold, and emotionless. He was like a walking corpse. That kind of voice made people feel a chill from the bottom of their hearts. He killed Gong Yubai. The second black-clothed man's voice sounded sinister. Gong Yubai is just an assassin in Jiuyu. He's not officially part of Jiuyu, but he can't be killed, said the first person in black coldly. Those who kill Jiuyu, no matter where they go, will be killed by Jiuyu, said the second person in black. His voice was as unpleasant as an owl's. Jiuyu was a terrifying assassin organization. Back then, Xin Yuyang had hired an assassin from Jiuyu to kill Lin Feng. It was Gong Yubai. Lin Feng still remembered that Gong Yubai was a spiritual formation master. However, Gong Yubai still failed and died at Lin Feng's hands. The reason why the Nine Nether Assassin organization was so terrifying was that everyone's expression would change at the mention of it. It wasn't just because of their strength. It was also because of their vengeful nature. After Jiu Yu received a mission, there was no limit to the number of times they would kill their targets. No matter how great the losses were, Jiu Yu would kill their targets. That was the rule of Jiu Yu. It was also the reputation of Jiu Yu. Unlike some assassin organizations, they would give up after failing one or two or even a few times. Sometimes they would give up if the client died. However, Jiu Yu wouldn't. Even if the client died, they would continue to kill their targets. Perhaps it was because of this reputation that Jiu Yu was able to expand and expand. Gong Yubai is dead. Now that we've accepted Gong Yubai's mission, we'll definitely kill that little brat, the first assassin said in a gloomy voice. Chase, said the second assassin. Swish, the two assassins disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng didn't know that he was being targeted by the Nine Nether Assassin organization. He continued to walk deeper into the forest. On this day, Lin Feng heard the sounds of killing. More than 10 cultivators were chasing after 5 cultivators. Lin Feng looked over and found that he recognized one of the 5 cultivators being chased. It was Sun Yaer. The young man beside Sun Yaer was Xia Ziheng, who was rather close to Sun Yaer. As for the other 3, they were not from the Star Pavilion. They were likely loose cultivators or cultivators from other forces. The people chasing after them were from the deity Sword Manor. Godly Sword Villa killed thousands of cultivators in order to open the deployment spells of the ancient cultivators' cave. Even if it happened in the Thunderblade mysterious territory, it's still too cruel. If you let us go, we'll keep it a secret for Godly Sword Villa. Xiao Ziheng roared. Lin Feng stood on top of a tree and looked at these people. After hearing Xiao Ziheng's words, he couldn't help but shake his head. If you don't mention this matter, you might be able to escape. Now that you mention this matter, how can Godly Sword Villa let you go? Sure enough, the cultivators from Godly Sword Villa who were chasing after them had murderous looks on their faces. They quickly rushed over. A leading disciple called Li Jiang sneered and said, "We only believe that dead people can keep secrets forever." Swoosh swoosh, the cultivators from Godly Sword Villa had already caught up. 13 of them surrounded the 5 cultivators. Xiao Ziheng, Sun Yaer, and the other 4 were still injured. Clang, 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 the 2 sides immediately started fighting. Poof! The sound of flesh being torn apart could be heard. One of the cultivators had one of his arms chopped off by a disciple from Godly Sword Villa. Blood immediately gushed out from the wound. Ah! That cultivator let out an incomparably shrill cry of agony. In the next moment, many people rushed forward and stabbed the cultivator to death. Even his head was chopped off. Let's fight them to the death. The other 2 cultivators gritted their teeth and charged towards the elite disciples from Godly Sword Villa. However, it was useless. They could only break through the encirclement in vain. Poof, poof, sword chi directly pierced through the 2 cultivators' bodies, killing them on the spot. Ah, don't kill me. Please don't kill me. My grandfather is an elder of the inner sect. I can give you my storage ring. I have a bright future ahead of me. I can't die here. Xiao Ziheng looked at these people pleadingly. "The genius? You're just a piece of trash." Many disciples from Godly Sword Villa looked at him with disdain. "I'm a piece of trash. I'm a piece of trash. Spare me. I'll give this woman to you. I haven't slept with her yet, and she's still a virgin. You'll definitely feel good when you play with her. I'll give her to you too." Xia Ziheng pushed Sun Yaer towards Li Jiang. "Haha, not bad. This girl looks so pure. I can't wait." When Li Jiang saw Sun Yaer's pure face, he smiled lasciviously and threw her to the people behind him. A group of disciples from Godly Sword Villa touched and pinched Sun Yaer. Sun Yaer was so scared that she kept screaming. She couldn't believe that Xia Ziheng, who loved her so much, would throw her to others so easily. As long as you're happy, said Xia Zihong with a smile on his face. But in the next moment, a cold light flashed by and pierced through Xia Zihong's chest. Why do you still want to kill me? Xia Zihong couldn't believe it. Li Jiyang recalled his flying sword and smiled coldly. Did I say I'd let you live? Xia Zihong fell to the ground and died with his eyes wide open. Brothers, I'll go first. After me, it'll be your turn. Li Jiyang laughed lewdly and carried Sun Ye over his shoulder. Then, he walked towards a smooth rock. Let me go! Let me go! Shouted Sun Ye in fear, but she couldn't break free. Li Jiyang put her on the rock and smiled lasciviously. He grabbed her clothes and tore them apart. Qi-La Sun Ye's clothes were torn apart. Only her undergarments were left. Help? Or not? Lin Feng frowned. He didn't like Sun Ye, so he was hesitant. But after thinking about it, Lin Feng couldn't stand by and watch those people humiliate Sun Ye. In the Thunderblade mysterious territory, there were no restrictions, so many people's inner demons were released. Just like those disciples from Godly Sword Villa. But this was too much of a beast. Little girl, don't struggle. You'll feel good soon, said Li Jiyang with a lascivious smile. He wanted to tear Sun Ye's clothes apart. Let her go and I'll spare your lives. At this moment, a cold voice suddenly resounded. Who's there? Li Jiyang and the other disciples from Godly Sword Villa glanced around. Chapter 545. Lin Feng! Sun Ye was covering her breasts with her hands. When she saw Lin Feng, she suddenly looked pleasantly surprised. Little boy, it's you. We're looking for you. Li Jiyang recognized Lin Feng. He was one of the disciples of Deity Sword Villa who had tried to kill those cultivators. Among the people I killed, there was someone called Lu Xiao, right? I killed those people because they wanted to kill me, but I killed you all because you people are worse than beasts. Lin Feng's voice was ice cold. If it had been a fight between cultivators, Lin Feng wouldn't have bothered to save Sun Ye. After all, they weren't friends. Besides, Lin Feng didn't have a good impression of Sun Ye. Why would he save her? However, Li Jiyang and the others wanted to humiliate Sun Ye. Lin Feng couldn't stand it. A group of people ganging up on a woman? How shameless could they be? Little boy, before I met you, I didn't know what it meant to boast shamelessly. Now I understand what it means. Li Jiyang's lips curled into a cold and disdainful smile. Li Jiyang was in the 7th heaven of the Martial King realm, and he was extremely talented. An ordinary 8th heaven of the Martial King realm cultivator might not be his match. Lin Feng was only a general, so Li Jiyang looked down on Lin Feng. Little boy, why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? Who do you think you are? How dare you act so impudently in front of us? You don't know how to write the word death. There's no point in killing this brat directly. It's better to capture him alive and cut off his flesh piece by piece. Let him have a taste of death by 1,000 cuts. Otherwise, junior brother Lu Xiao and the others won't be able to rest in peace, shouted the disciples of Deity Sword Villa. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent. Swish. At that moment, Lin Feng moved first and threw himself at the group of people. Little boy, do you want to die? You actually dared to attack first? You don't know what's good for you. Seeing Lin Feng attack, the disciples of Deity Sword Manor were filled with killing intent. However, Li Jiyang said, Junior brothers, you have to be on guard against this boy. Don't be careless. You should know how strong junior brother Lu Zhao's cultivation is. If even junior brother Lu Xiao died at this boy's hands, I suspect that this boy has some powerful magic treasure. When Li Jiyang mentioned the powerful magic treasure, the disciples of the Deity Sword Villa were not afraid at all. Instead, their eyes were filled with greed. Including Li Jiyang. Swish! Li Jiyang was the first to draw his sword. The rest of the Deity Sword Manor disciples followed suit. God-slaying 10,000 swords technique! Li Jiyang shouted and slashed out with his sword. Suddenly, more than 200 sword lights condensed and blasted towards Lin Feng. The rest of the disciples also began to use the myriad sword god-killing technique. The myriad sword god-killing technique was a sword technique that every disciple of deity sword Villa had to learn. It was extremely powerful. When the rest of the disciples used the myriad sword god-killing technique, they could only release a few dozen or 100 sword lights. Their cultivation levels were obviously much lower than Li Jiyang's. The 13 disciples of deity sword Villa released more than 1,000 sword lights. The sword lights blotted out the sky and covered the earth as they flew towards Lin Feng. Sun Ye's face turned pale when she saw the dense sword lights. She thought that Lin Feng would be severely injured even if he didn't die. When the dense sword lights were about to hit Lin Feng raised his right hand and waved it gently. Sky-splitting! A deep voice was heard. Sun Ye saw a terrifying scene that she would never forget even if she died. As Lin Feng's right hand fell, a dazzling blade light shot out. Pfft! All the sword lights were instantly shattered. Then, the blade light cut Li Jiyang and the other disciples of deity sword Villa in half. Because the attack was too fast, Li Jiyang and the others didn't die immediately after being cut in half. Instead, they looked at their bodies that had been cut in half and screamed in fear. Then, their bodies fell to the ground dead. Ugh! Sun Ye immediately knelt on the ground and retched when she saw the bloody scene. Lin Feng walked over and said speechlessly, "A person who retches when she sees corpses still wants to train in the Lightning Blade's secret territory? Are you here to die?" Sun Ye wanted to retort, but she didn't know how to. Lin Feng couldn't be bothered with Sun Ye. He turned around and walked towards the depths of the forest. When Sun Ye saw that Lin Feng was about to leave, she quickly stood up and hugged Lin Feng from behind. Even though there was a layer of clothes between them, Lin Feng could still feel Sun Ye's huge breasts pressing against his back. "Senior brother Lin, don't leave me behind. I'm scared," Sun Ye said in a trembling voice. "Let go of me first and put on your clothes," Lin Feng said. Sun Ye's face turned red. She suddenly remembered that she only had one piece of clothing to cover her body. She quickly let go of Lin Feng and took out another piece of clothing from her ring to change into. At night, a bonfire was burning in a cave. Lin Feng said, "The Lightning Blade's secret territory is closed now, and you can't leave. Your cultivation is limited. I think this cave is a good choice. You can cultivate here and wait until the Lightning Blade's secret territory opens again. You can leave here and save your life." Sun Ye's face turned pale. "Senior brother Lin, I don't want to be alone. I'm really scared. Please take me with you. I'll take good care of you," Sun Ye said with a red face. Lin Feng had seen that Sun Ye and Xia Zihong were very close, so he wasn't interested in her at all. He said indifferently, "You don't have to do these things. I'm not interested in you either. My strength is limited, and I don't even know if I can protect myself in the Lightning Blade's secret territory. How can I take you with me?" Sun Ye didn't want to stay here. She still wanted to go out and look for opportunities. Although staying here could save her life, any opportunities had nothing to do with her. Sun Ye had seen how strong Lin Feng was, so she wanted to be on good terms with him. In her opinion, as long as she stayed by Lin Feng's side, she would definitely have great opportunities. After being rejected by Lin Feng, Sun Ye didn't feel discouraged. Instead, she became even bolder. She sat on Lin Feng's lap and took off her clothes. She even took off her undergarments, exposing her body to Lin Feng. "Senior brother Lin, Ye is so uncomfortable. Ye is still pure. Can you take advantage of Ye? Ye really wants senior brother Lin to press down on Ye." Sun Ye bit her red lips and said seductively. She hugged Lin Feng and couldn't help but rub her body against his. Chapter 546. Lin Feng did not think of himself as a gentleman. He also had 7 emotions and 6 desires, and he also liked beautiful women. However, Lin Feng would not touch any kind of woman. For example, Sun Ye in front of him. Under her seemingly pure appearance, she was very flirtatious. If you slept with such a woman today, you might be cuckolded one day. Lin Feng felt a lot of disgust towards Sun Ye. He took a deep breath and put on Sun Ye's clothes. Sun Ye's pretty face turned pale, and she said with tears in her eyes, "Senior brother, do you think Ye is lying to you? Ye's body is really pure. Senior brother can check it. You'll know when you see that place." Lin Feng could not help but be speechless. This Sun Ye knew quite a lot. Lin Feng said indifferently, "Junior sister Ye, I will leave tomorrow. At that time, I will set up a few concealment arrays. Ordinary people will not be able to find this place. These storage rings were taken from Li Jiang and the others. I found some pills and spirit stones inside, enough for you to cultivate." After saying this, Lin Feng closed his eyes and did not speak anymore. Sun Ye said faintly, "Thank you, senior brother." The next day, Sun Ye looked at Lin Feng with a resentful gaze. Those who did not know the details would definitely think that Lin Feng had done something with Sun Ye and then abandoned her. In reality, Lin Feng was wronged. Lin Feng ignored Sun Ye's resentful gaze. There was nothing between him and Sun Ye. Nothing had happened, so he naturally had a clear conscience. "I hope junior sister can cultivate well here. The Thunderblade's secret realm is too dangerous. Don't lose your life for a small benefit," Lin Feng said. "You remember. If senior brother is tired, come to Ye. At that time, you will definitely make senior brother feel comfortable," Sun Ye said with a red face. Lin Feng quickly left. This Sun Ye looked pure, but the flirtatious nature in her bones was hard to conceal, which made Lin Feng quite disgusted. Women who loved themselves were more pitiful. Within a mountain forest, a good number of resting cultivators were gathered there. Many of them had set up temporary stalls, bringing out items that they did not need to trade with other cultivators. This sort of temporary trading spot was quite common in the Thunderblade Pocket Zone. With so many cultivators entering the Thunderblade Pocket Zone, each of them had their own fortuitous encounters. Thus, the items they obtained would surely be of no use to them. Thus, they might as well use those items to exchange for items that they could use. Lin Feng did not find any useful information, but he did hear a few cultivators talking about the Spirit Stone Mountain. That Spirit Stone Mountain is located 300 miles northwest of here. Many cultivators have rushed there to mine for spirit stones. I heard that there are top-grade spirit stones there, a middle-aged cultivator said. Supreme-grade spirit stones. Lin Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. He knew how precious top-grade spirit stones were. Even the 4 major sects of the Waste Domain could not take out top-grade spirit stones for their disciples to cultivate. At most, they would occasionally give one. For example, the winner of the Blue Cloud sect's small competition had been rewarded with a top-grade spirit stone. Supreme-grade spirit stones can be mined? Isn't that too shocking? Let's go and take a look. Maybe we can mine a few top-grade spirit stones. Forget it. There are too many strong cultivators there. Even if we can mine top-grade spirit stones, if we don't have enough strength, we'll die. Hearing the cultivators' discussion, Lin Feng was interested. He also needed top-grade spirit stones. Previously, when he had broken through to the 10th firmament of the martial general realm, he had almost failed. He had relied on a top-grade spirit stone to condense his pure chi and successfully break through. It was obviously more difficult to break through to the martial king realm. It would be difficult to break through to the martial king realm with just high-grade spirit stones. At the very least, he would need to collect a few top-grade spirit stones in case he needed them. Lin Feng bought some mining tools at the trading point and quickly rushed in the direction of the Spirit Stone Mountain. One day later, Lin Feng arrived at the Spirit Stone Mountain. The Spirit Stone Mountain was not a particularly large spirit stone mine, but because it could mine top-grade spirit stones, it attracted many cultivators. Of course, top-grade spirit stones were very rare. Sometimes, a spirit stone mine could not even produce a single top-grade spirit stone. Quick, catch that guy! He's got some top-quality spirit stones! Suddenly, a loud shout came from afar. A cultivator in his 30s quickly rushed out from the Spirit Stone Mountain. A group of cultivators chased after him like crazy. For the sake of top-grade spirit stones, many people had completely fallen into a frenzy. The cultivator quickly fled outside, but when he looked back, he realized that there were too many cultivators chasing after him. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to escape, but he wasn't willing to hand over the top-grade spirit stones that he had worked so hard to extract. The cultivator looked around and suddenly saw a beast carriage coming from the distance. Dozens of guards followed behind the carriage. At this time, a woman in white with a veil over her face walked out of the carriage. She was graceful, her skin was white as snow, and her black hair was tied together with a wooden hairpin. Although her face couldn't be seen because of the veil, one could imagine how beautiful she was under the veil. The fleeing cultivator clenched his teeth and pounced towards the masked woman in white. He seemed to want to capture the masked woman in white, and use her as a hostage to force the guards behind her to protect him and escape. Lin Feng shook his head. He felt that the cultivator had done the most stupid thing. The middle-aged man beside the veiled woman had a deep and terrifying qi, which made Lin Feng's heart palpitate. That person was definitely very terrifying. The cultivator who was running away wanted to use the veiled woman as a hostage, but he was simply courting death. "Uncle Tian, get rid of him," the veiled woman in white said coldly. "Yes, miss," the middle-aged cultivator who was called Uncle Tian replied. He took a step forward and threw a punch across the air. A powerful qi wave formed in the air and fiercely hit the cultivator who was rushing towards the veiled woman in white. Bang! The qi wave hit the cultivator's body, and he flew backwards as if he had been struck by lightning. A single punch was able to create a powerful shockwave and injure that cultivator. What a powerful cultivation base! Lin Feng was shocked. He secretly wondered if he could use such a powerful punch with his cultivation base. Boom! At that moment, the cultivators who were chasing after the veiled woman killed the cultivator who had been sent flying by the veiled woman. "The top-grade spirit stone is mine!" Many people started fighting crazily. People died miserably, and corpses fell from the sky. Chapter 547. Xunlong Wan looked at the coiled mountain. Each layer of coils was a heavy pass. If there were 1,000 locks on the door, there must be an inheritance here. Lin Feng walked around the spirit stone vein, chanting the dragon's searching formula softly. He hadn't learned the dragon's searching formula from the fire Qilin for a long time. This was the inheritance of the moving mountain Taoist, so it was naturally broad and profound. It wasn't easy to master it in a short time. However, Lin Feng still knew a little about it. Using the dragon's searching formula to find the spirit stone vein and mine was the best thing to do. The dragon has 9 veins, the mine has the main bone, the 8 dispositions, and the mountain is moved, Lin Feng murmured. He was using the dragon's searching formula to find the core of the spirit stone vein. If the spirit stone vein produced top-grade spirit stones, then he could use the dragon's searching formula to locate the core. It was the same principle as locating a tomb deep in the mountains. However, Lin Feng hadn't been practicing the dragon's searching formula for long, so he couldn't pinpoint the location accurately. "Huh!" The masked woman in white looked at Lin Feng with a slightly surprised expression. "Uncle Tian, what do you think that person is doing?" The masked woman in white pointed at Lin Feng. The powerful guard called Uncle Tian looked at Lin Feng and frowned slightly. "I'm not sure, but it's a little strange. His footwork also seems strange, but he's only a cultivator at the martial general realm. He's not worthy of your attention. Miss, you've suppressed your cultivation level for 5 years in order to enter the Thunder Blade's secret territory to find opportunities and soar to the sky. This place is just a small spirit stone vein, so even if there are top-grade spirit stones, there aren't many of them. It's not worth your attention. Let's go," said the guard called Uncle Tian. "No rush, let's wait and see." The masked woman in white was still staring at Lin Feng. "Is it here?" Lin Feng stopped near a remote mountain stream. He used the dragon searching formula 3 times, and each time, it was about this place. Lin Feng felt that this should be the place. He smiled, took out a shovel, and began to dig. This shovel wasn't an ordinary shovel. It was the spirit shovel that Lin Feng had bought from the previous trading area. There was an array drawn on it. Once the array was activated, the digging speed would be extremely fast. Lin Feng used this shovel and quickly dug out a cave that was more than 10 meters deep. Lin Feng faintly felt an astonishing amount of energy escaping from this place, causing him to reveal a look of joy. This was indeed the place to excavate top-grade spirit stones. He didn't dare to hesitate, and hurriedly set up a small concealment array to isolate his aura. If the aura of a top-grade spirit stone were to spread out, there would definitely be chaos here. When the time came for them to face those crazy cultivators, forget about protecting the spirit stone mine, it would be hard to say if they could even survive. "Brat, come out!" Just as Lin Feng finished setting up the concealment array formation, a cold shout came from outside. Lin Feng looked outside and saw 7 cultivators blocking the entrance to the cave. Lin Feng's heart sank. Had he been discovered by these people? He thought about the situation just now. When he had sensed the top-grade spirit stone's aura, he had immediately used a concealment array to seal it. Logically speaking, these people shouldn't have discovered the presence of top-grade spirit stones. Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. He walked out of the cave, looked at the cultivator in the lead, and asked, "Why did you call me?" "Look, it's Gu Yan and the others. It seems like they're eyeing the spirit stone mine that Brad is excavating. Gu Yan and the others rely on the fact that they're from an ancient aristocratic family. They're extremely despicable. Who asked them to be so strong? That Brad is unlucky. He's excavating the spirit stone mine alone. Of course, he can't protect it. Gu Yan and the others like to rob spirit stones that are only excavated by one or a few cultivators. They don't need to excavate the spirit stones themselves. When it's time to harvest the fruits of their labor, they can just rob it." Many people in the surroundings started discussing and looking at Lin Feng with pity. However, this was the law of the Thunderblade's secret territory. The weak were prey to the strong. Why did Gu Yan and the others dare to blatantly rob the spirit stone mine that others had worked so hard to excavate? It was because they were strong. The weak were destined to be bullied. "Brat, we're taking this spirit stone mine. Go and excavate elsewhere." Gu Yan waved his hand and said arrogantly. "Scram!" Lin Feng narrowed his eyes slightly. At that moment, everyone was dumbfounded. A cultivator at the Martial General realm dared to ask Gu Yan to scram? Gu Yan had a lot of people around him, but Gu Yan himself was at the 4th celestial layer of the Martial King realm. In addition, the people around him were also martial kings. They came from ancient aristocratic families and had extraordinary means. With so many people gathered together, no one dared to provoke them. However, Lin Feng, a cultivator at the Martial General realm, dared to ask Gu Yan and the others to scram. He was simply courting death. "Is this brat crazy?" Many people looked at Lin Feng in astonishment. "This guy's strength isn't much, but he's quite bold," said Uncle Tian with a frown. The masked woman in white smiled and said, "He's indeed bold. Maybe he has something to rely on. If he doesn't have anything to rely on, offending a few cultivators at the Martial King realm is simply courting death." As the masked woman in white spoke, her eyes were fixed on Lin Feng. She rarely paid so much attention to a man. However, Lin Feng made her feel a little suspicious. Gu Yan's face instantly became gloomy. The eyes of the cultivators around him flashed with a cold light. "Break his limbs and throw him out. Let him fend for himself," said Gu Yan with a hideous smile. "Yes." Immediately, a cultivator at the 1st celestial layer of the Martial King realm rushed out and threw a punch at Lin Feng. "They're attacking. That brat is finished. If his limbs are broken and he's thrown out of the Thunderblade's secret territory, he'll definitely die." Many people cried out in alarm. "You blind thing, you even dared to offend us," said the cultivator at the 1st celestial layer of the Martial King realm with a hideous smile on his face. "Humph!" groaned Lin Feng coldly. Everybody could see that Lin Feng was moving at an incredible speed. He looked like an afterimage. Bang! The sound of a collision was heard, followed by a horrible shriek. The cultivator at the first celestial layer of the Martial King realm was blown away. He coughed up blood in the air and fell to the ground. His arm was broken, and he was trembling. That brat was hiding his strength. Let's attack together. Gu Yan's face suddenly darkened. He and the others attacked Lin Feng together. Lin Feng's eyes were ice cold as he stepped forward. Boom, boom, boom. 6 punches were thrown out in succession. Crack, crack. The sound of a violent collision was heard. The sound of bones breaking was also heard. Horrible shrieks rose and fell one after another. 6 people were blown away, their arms broken. A powerful force shook their bodies, causing them to suffer internal injuries. They fell to the ground, bleeding from their 7 orifices. Some of them even stopped moving. It was unknown whether they were dead or alive. That brat was too strong, wasn't he? He had crushed Gu Yan and the others. Gu Yan was a cultivator at the 4th celestial layer of the Martial King realm, but he hadn't even been able to withstand a single punch. What was that guy's cultivation level? Everyone's eyes widened in shock as they looked at the young cultivator standing proudly in front of the mine. Chapter 548. That was close. Luckily, Gu Yan and the others made a move first. Otherwise, we would be the ones in trouble. Some of the cultivators were secretly wiping away their sweat. For a lone cultivator like Lin Feng to come here to mine, there was an 80% chance that the mine would be snatched away. There were more than one group of people like Gu Yan. Some of the cultivators who were about to make a move heaved a sigh of relief. If Gu Yan had not made a move, they might have been the ones lying on the ground. Isn't this kid a general? How can he be so powerful? Could it be that he has a secret technique to hide his cultivation level? Uncle Tian frowned slightly, finding it unbelievable. The masked woman in white said, "It doesn't seem like he's hiding his cultivation level. When he made a move, he didn't even have any earth energy. That means he's still a general. Maybe he has some treasure on him." Lin Feng looked around coldly. The cold aura on his body made many people's hearts palpitate. This time, Lin Feng wanted to cripple Gu Yan and the others to establish his dominance. Otherwise, there would always be people with bad intentions looking for trouble. He entered the mine and set up a few illusion formations to seal the entrance to ensure that no one would disturb him while he was mining. Lin Feng began to dig. From time to time, he would dig out a low-grade spirit stone. From time to time, he would dig out a mid-grade spirit stone. High-grade spirit stones were rare. Lin Feng dug for 3 days and only dug out 1 high-grade spirit stone, 300 mid-grade spirit stones, and 5,000 low-grade spirit stones. Lin Feng did not lack these ordinary spirit stones. In fact, he had enough high-grade spirit stones. What Lin Feng really lacked was supreme-grade spirit stones. Transforming from a general to a martial king, ordinary cultivators might only need high-grade spirit stones to break through. But Lin Feng had accumulated too much energy. His strength and fighting abilities were incredible. When he wanted to break through to the next cultivation layer, he needed an incredible amount of energy. His requirements for energy were also extremely high. In order to break through to the 10th stage of the martial general realm, he still needed a top-grade spirit stone to help him break through. What more to break through to the martial king realm? Moreover, 1 supreme-grade spirit stone was not even enough. Another 3 days passed, and waves of shocking energy fluctuations surged out from the depths of the spirit mine. Lin Feng increased his speed. Not long after, he saw a fist-sized spirit stone appear in front of him. The pure energy contained within the spirit stone made Lin Feng's eyelids twitch violently. Supreme-grade spirit stones! Lin Feng's face was full of joy. Inside the cave, Sun Ye was holding a spirit stone with both hands, absorbing the energy within it. Suddenly, the sounds of fighting could be heard coming from outside. Tens of cultivators had surrounded a cultivator in his 20s. Hand over the ancient devil ring and we'll spare your life. The leading cultivator shouted coldly. You want to snatch my ancient devil ring with just a few of you? What a joke. Today, I'll use you as a sacrifice to my sword. The cultivator sneered. He held his sword with both hands and shouted. God-killing technique of 10,000 swords. Swish. Countless dazzling sword rays flew out towards the cultivators. This cultivator was obviously an expert from the deity sword Villa. It's the 10,000 god-killing sword technique. Retreat quickly. He can't use such a powerful technique continuously. The leader of the cultivators shouted. It's too late to retreat. The cultivator from the deity sword Villa sneered and stepped forward. Sword chi shot out everywhere. Puff, puff, puff. The sound of flesh tearing could be heard. The bodies of the cultivators were penetrated by the sword chi. They fell to the ground and died. Phew! The cultivator from the deity sword Villa took a deep breath and began to collect the storage rings of the dead cultivators. The 10,000 god-killing sword technique is a technique of the deity sword Villa. This person is a disciple of the deity sword Villa. He's really powerful. If I can befriend him, I'll gain a lot of benefits. Sun Yair bit her lips. She was a woman who did not like loneliness. Although she had only stayed in the cave for a few days, she could not cultivate in peace. Sun Yair ran out of the cave. Who is it? Switchy looked around coldly. His gaze was fixed on Sun Yair. Seeing Sun Yair's delicate figure and innocent face, Switchy's eyes lit up. Senior brother, my name is Sun Yair. I'm a disciple of the Nebula Pavilion. I'm cultivating here to avoid evildoers. Please take me in and cultivate with me in the Thunderblade's secret territory. Sun Yair looked at Switchy with a pitiful expression and bowed slightly to Switchy's. Switchy quickly walked over and supported Sun Yair. Sun Yair reached out and clasped Switchy's hand. Switchy's heart skipped a beat. He smiled and said, So it's Junior Sister Yair. It's dangerous for you to be alone in the Thunderblade's secret territory. Since Junior Sister Yair doesn't mind my low cultivation, I'm willing to protect Junior Sister Yair. Sun Yair smiled and said, Thank you, Senior Brothers Wa. Yair will repay you in the future. Looking at Sun Yair's innocent face, Switchy felt an evil fire in his dantian that he wanted to vent. The second Supreme Grade Spirit Stone. In the mine, Lin Feng looked at the Supreme Grade Spirit Stone in his hand with surprise. There are at most 4 or 5 Supreme Grade Spirit Stones in this mine. One of them has already been dug out by someone else. This should be the third one, right? If there were still people secretly mining top-grade spirit stones, perhaps all the top-grade spirit stones in this mine would have already been mined out. Lin Feng couldn't help but think. Something's not right. There seems to be a terrifying energy in the depths of the mine. Could there be another supreme-grade spirit stone? Lin Feng used the dragon's searching incantation to sense the spirit veins and found another energy fluctuation that was even more deeply hidden. The dragon's searching incantation was indeed powerful. Lin Feng sighed and continued to dig deeper. Not long after, Lin Feng dug out the third supreme-grade spirit stone. 3 supreme-grade spirit stones. I should have enough supreme-grade spirit stones to break through to the Martial King realm, right? Lin Feng's face was full of joy. Now that he had collected enough supreme-grade spirit stones to break through to the Martial King realm, he was very happy. Next, he needed to find strong astral winds to refine them. The astral winds fused with his pure chi and raised his pure chi to Earth Chi. Earth Chi was not only more powerful in attack, but also in defense. It could even block soul attacks, which was something that pure Chi could not achieve. The Thunderblade's secret territory was surrounded by lightning and astral winds, so there was no lack of powerful Earth Chi. Now, his metamorphosis had reached a critical juncture. As long as he could successfully break through to the Martial King realm, his fighting strength would increase greatly. Lin Feng left the mine and flew into the distance. That's the boy. He set up a small concealment array in the mine to isolate the aura of the spirit stones. He must have dug out some supreme-grade spirit stones. A few gloomy eyes stared at Lin Feng as he left. Chapter 549. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk Lin Feng leaped through the forest, covering dozens of meters with each jump. Now that he had a better understanding of the golden wings, his speed was much faster than before. When night fell, Lin Feng rested beside a small stream. The meat on the bonfire had already turned golden, and it emitted an enticing aroma. Lin Feng cut off a piece of meat and tasted it. It tasted quite good. Suddenly, 4 cultivators flew over from afar. The 4 of them stopped. The leader of the group was a middle-aged cultivator. He had a tall stature and a straightforward appearance. Clasping his fists, he smiled and said, "Brother, I am Chi Hongye. I am just passing by with 3 other brothers. Little brother, you don't mind if we join you, right?" Lin Feng nodded. "Feel free to sit. This isn't my place anyway." He didn't have any intention of chatting with these 4 cultivators. They were just strangers, so why should they know each other? A skinny cultivator said, "Little brother, your roasted meat is pretty good. Eat it." Lin Feng tossed the meat to the skinny cultivator. "Haha, brother, you're really straightforward. I, Chi Hongye, like straightforward people the most. Brother, since you've given us meat, it's impolite not to reciprocate. Brother, have a taste of this fine wine of mine. I brewed it myself and buried it underground for 10 years. As he spoke, Chi Hongye took out a jar of wine and handed it to Lin Feng. Lin Feng frowned slightly. He took the jar, opened the cork, and drank a mouthful. "This wine is very strong. This is strong wine, and it's very strong. Men should drink this kind of wine." Chi Hongye laughed. He took out another 4 jars of wine and shared them with the others. Then, he gulped down the wine as if he was drinking water. Lin Feng was dumbfounded. Lin Feng and the 4 of them chatted in a neutral manner. However, Lin Feng soon felt his body heating up, and he felt a little dizzy. He shook his head and muttered, "What's wrong with me? Ha, boy, you've been poisoned." When the lean cultivator saw Lin Feng's absent-minded appearance, he suddenly laughed out loud. The 4 of them stopped hiding and jumped up. They looked coldly at Lin Feng as if they were looking at a dead man. Lin Feng stood up and leaned against a tree. "You poisoned the wine?" "Of course not, this is good wine. We wouldn't waste such good wine," said Lin Feng. Chi Hongye smiled and said, "Then why was I poisoned?" Lin Feng looked at these people coldly. His gaze swept over the jade stones on their waists. "So that's how it is. There seems to be something smeared on your jades, causing them to emit a faint fragrance. I noticed it before, but I didn't think too much about it. Now, it seems that the fragrance is reacting with the wine, turning the wine into poison. Am I right?" Lin Feng said. The 4 of them were startled, but then they started laughing coldly. "That's right. We smeared the medicinal liquid of the heart-eating grass on it. The wine I brewed has an ingredient called nightshade vine. When it fuses with the medicinal liquid of the heart-eating grass, it becomes extremely poisonous," Chi Hongye said. "A cultivator of the 7th celestial layer and 3 cultivators of the 5th celestial layer. Is it worth it for you to go through so much trouble to deal with a mere general like me?" Lin Feng shook his head. "I saw you fight in the spirit mine. You must have some powerful treasures on you, right? Even though we weren't worried about you, we were worried that you would use the treasures to escape. Wouldn't all our efforts have been in vain?" Chi Hongye sneered. "How meticulous. So it turns out that you've taken a fancy to my treasures," said Lin Feng. "You thought it would be easy to kill me because I was alone, right? Don't blame us if you die. This is the Thunderblade's secret territory. Deceit and deception are everywhere. Everything is for the sake of benefits. We had no choice but to kill you," said Chi Hongye. "You had no choice but to kill me? Maybe you can choose to leave the antidote behind and leave." Lin Feng smiled. Another fat cultivator sneered and said, "Brat, are you stupid? We schemed against you to kill you and steal your treasures. Now you want us to let you go?" said the tall and thin cultivator with a sneer. "Let me deal with this boy and end all troubles." Swish! As soon as he finished speaking, the strong cultivator leaped forward. His right hand turned into an eagle's claw and grabbed at Lin Feng's neck. The attack was about to crush Lin Feng's neck. But at that moment, Lin Feng moved slightly to the left and dodged the attack. Then, Lin Feng stretched out his right hand and grabbed the tall and thin cultivator's neck. "How is this possible?" shouted the tall and thin cultivator in disbelief. Crack! But in the next moment, his neck was broken by Lin Feng. Then, his body fell to the ground, no longer breathing. Fourth brother! When Qi Hongye and the other two saw that the tall and thin cultivator was killed by Lin Feng, they immediately roared. Their eyes were full of killing intent. Qi Hongye roared in disbelief. Why? Why aren't you poisoned? Sorry, I'm an alchemist, so when I opened the wine jar, I could smell the ingredients inside. Of course, this included the black nightshade vine and the heart-eating herbs medicinal liquid that you smeared on the jade pendant. Although I didn't take the antidote beforehand like you did, I secretly put in a stock of cordyceps before I drank the wine. Since you know the effects of the black nightshade vine, you should know that the cordyceps and the black nightshade vine will quickly fuse into a different kind of spirit liquid. So, your plan to poison me by fusing the cordyceps and the black nightshade vine naturally won't happen. I was just playing along with you. Lin Feng shrugged. At that moment, the three of them understood that Lin Feng was just playing with them. He had already seen through them. How dare you play with us? Qi Hongye and the other two's faces were distorted. I didn't play with you, you wanted to kill me. I even gave you a chance to leave the antidote and leave. At that time, I didn't want to kill you, but I was wrong. This is the Thunderblade mysterious world. You can kill people for the sake of benefits. Maybe that's the cruel law of this place. Lin Feng sighed. Little boy, you're a general, even if you weren't poisoned, you're going to die today, shouted Qi Hongye coldly. He was very cautious. He glanced at the other two and the three of them attacked Lin Feng together. It's useless. You're really strong, but in front of me, you're as weak as ants, murmured Lin Feng. He stepped forwards, and an unimaginably terrifying qi emerged from his body, Lin Feng. Force. Surprisingly, it was force. Qi Hongye and the other two realized that they couldn't move. They were being oppressed by Lin Feng's force. No! Spare us! Shouted the three of them in panic. They didn't know how strong Lin Feng was until that moment. I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it, said Lin Feng indifferently. When he passed by Qi Hongye and the other two, boom, the three of them couldn't withstand Lin Feng's force, and exploded. Their bodies were scattered all over the forest. Chapter 550. Puff! The sound of flesh tearing could be heard as cultivators fell to the ground one by one. No, spare me! A 15 or 16-year-old boy looked in horror at the cultivator who was walking towards him with a sword in his hand. Their group of more than 10 people was passing through the forest when they were ambushed. The leader of the group, a 7th Firmament Martial King, was killed in an instant. The rest of them were not strong enough, and were killed one after another. However, the cultivator with the sword did not care about the boy's pleas at all and killed him with a single strike. Senior Brothers Wuqi's cultivation is getting stronger and stronger. Sun Ye walked out and said with a smile. Sun Ye seemed to have gotten used to the corpses on the ground and did not retch anymore. Wuqi killed more than 10 people, but he still had a calm expression on his face. It was as if he was not killing people, but a group of fierce beasts. I've gotten a lot of good things recently, which is why my cultivation has improved so quickly. Only one of the cultivators in this group has a decent cultivation. The rest of them are weaker, so I don't think they have much good things. Wuqi took the storage rings of the cultivators and left with Sun Ye. Lin Feng was leaning against a tree, resting. At that moment, he heard some footsteps. Senior Brothers Wuqi, let's rest here. Lin Feng opened his eyes and saw a man and a woman walking towards him through the leaves. Sun Ye. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. He did not expect it to be this woman. He shook his head slightly. He had thought that Sun Yair was not someone who was willing to be lonely. Sure enough, how long had it been? She ran out of the cave and seemed to have hooked up with the cultivator called Zwichi at this time. Zwichi hugged Sun Yair. Ah, senior brother Zwichi, what are you doing? Let go of me! Sun Yair cried out, wanting to refuse. Zwichi said in a rough voice. Sister Ya, I feel terrible. No matter what, I must have you today. Senior brother Zwichi, you're so bad. This is the wilderness, and I'm still a virgin. I can't give my body to you here. Sun Yair struggled gently. Chila. But how could Zwichi care about this? He directly tore Sun Yair's clothes and placed her on a smooth rock. Then, he pried Sun Yair's legs apart. Senior brother Zwichi, you scoundrel, go easy on me later. I'm scared of pain, Sun Yair said shyly. Zwichi looked at Sun Yair's pure face and lewd expression and cursed in his heart. However, he was also extremely excited and quickly took off his clothes. Sun Yair closed her eyes and waited for Zwichi to strip her naked and penetrate her body. Pooh! But at this moment, Sun Yair felt something splashing on her face. He opened his eyes and saw that Zwichi's head had already been separated from his body. Blood splattered all over his face. Ah! Sun Yair was so scared that her face turned pale and she screamed. Kikik, what delicious blood! A strange laughter rang out and a cultivator in black robes rushed out from the forest. The flying sword that had killed Zwichi had already returned to the black-robed cultivator's hand. The black-robed cultivator drank a mouthful of blood with an intoxicated expression. A devil cultivator. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes. Spare me, senior brother, please spare me. I'm not familiar with Zwichi. As long as you spare me, I'm willing to become your slave and serve you well. Sun Yair was so scared that her voice was trembling. The devil cultivator took out Zwichi's spatial ring and checked it. His expression immediately became cold. Where's the ancient devil ring? Where's the ancient devil ring that Zwichi obtained? The devil cultivator's face became distorted. The ancient devil ring? What's that? It seems to be something good. It must be a treasure that Zwichi obtained. This devil cultivator must have been tracking him. Lin Feng frowned. The ancient devil ring is with me. Zwichi left it with me for safety reasons, Sun Yair hurriedly said. She stretched out her hand and took out the ring that was hanging around her neck. It was clamped between a pair of huge peaks. It still had the warmth of Sun Yair's body. Haha, that's right. It's the ancient devil ring. It's finally in my hands. The devil Dao expert laughed out loud. Senior brother, please spare me. I even gave him the ancient devil ring. Sun Yair begged. Bitch, get lost. The devil Dao expert kicked out with his foot. With a loud bang, she kicked Sun Yair in the chest. Crack, crack. Sun Yair's chest was broken and she coughed up blood. She fell to the ground and her body twitched. Just as the devil cultivator was about to leave, a figure as fast as lightning rushed over and punched the devil cultivator. Brat, how dare you sneak attack me? 10,000 devil fist. The devil cultivator roared and punched. Bang! Lin Feng and the devil cultivator fiercely collided. In an instant, a terrifying force rushed into Lin Feng's body and sent Lin Feng flying. Lin Feng's body slammed into a tree. The tree that could only be held by a dozen people was directly broken. So strong. Lin Feng was shocked. This person was too terrifying. He seemed to be only at the fourth celestial layer of the Martial King realm, but he was able to completely suppress him. This devil cultivator was definitely a monstrous figure who could challenge those above his level. It's not easy for a general to survive a punch from me. But if you dare to sneak attack me, only death awaits you. The devil cultivator roared and jumped out. In an instant, he rushed in front of Lin Feng and punched him again. You're really powerful. You're the first person who can suppress me to this extent as a fourth celestial layer of the Martial King realm. Lin Feng looked indifferent and shouted. But you're still not my opponent. Sky rend. Lin Feng roared and raised his right hand, slashing with his blade. Buzz! A dazzling blade slashed out. Not good, retreat. The devil cultivator's face suddenly changed and he quickly retreated. At the same time, he took out a precious weapon, a shield, and placed it in front of him. But that precious shield couldn't block Lin Feng's Skyfisher attack. The shield was directly cut in two. Pooh! A tearing sound was heard as the blade directly cut off the devil cultivator's head. Plop! The headless corpse fell to the ground. Lin Feng took the spatial ring. Then, he used his divine sense to enter it and took out the mysterious black ring. Is this the ancient devil ring? Lin Feng murmured. Senior brother Lin, save me, save me. Seeing that the person who attacked was Lin Feng, Sun Yaer seemed to see hope. She tried her best to stretch out her hand, trying to grab Lin Feng. Sun Yaer's clothes were disheveled and her body was covered in blood. He couldn't help but feel that this woman was very pitiful. I can save you once, but I can't save you a second time. I'm sorry, I can't do anything now. Lin Feng turned around and walked away. Sun Yaer wanted to call out to Lin Feng, but she found that she couldn't speak. Her breathing was getting heavier and heavier, and her head was getting heavier and heavier. Sun Yaer suddenly regretted her decision. Why didn't she listen to Lin Feng and cultivate in the cave and wait for the Thunder Blade's secret territory to open? Chapter 551. Swoosh! In the darkness, silhouettes flew over quickly. There were more than 10 of them. These people were all dressed in black, and each of them had a powerful and terrifying aura. They were obviously experts. Chu Yun is dead. One of the black-clothed men pointed at the headless corpse on the ground. Such a beautiful woman was killed by Chu Yun. That guy really doesn't know how to be gentle. Another black-clothed man shook his head as he looked at Sun Yaer's corpse. A woman coldly laughed as she said, Chu Yun likes to shatter other people's hearts and make them slowly die in pain. Now, his head has been chopped off. Xiao Moyu, do you feel bad that this girl's heart was crushed by Chu Yun? Is that why you're mocking him? Another woman sneered, mocking the woman who had spoken first. The woman who had spoken first had a very special hobby. She didn't like men, but she liked women. She had captured many beautiful women to be her slaves and trained by her. On the other hand, Sun Yaer was pure and beautiful. Her pitiful appearance was indeed very likable. So what if I am? I like to play with women. That girl was born like that, and she died before I could play with her. What a pity! Xiao Moyu sighed and sneered. She's better than some people. Who knows how many men she's had sex with? Xiao Moyu, who are you scolding? Tsk, I'm not talking about you. Why are you acting so hostile? Who are you trying to impress? Do you think that someone will take pity on you and help you? The two of them started arguing. The rest of the black-clothed men turned their heads and pretended not to see anything. Mou, Rin Qing, both of you should stop talking. When Master comes and sees you arguing here, you should know the consequences if you make Master unhappy. One of the black-clothed men said. Xiao Moyu and Rin Qing shuddered when they thought of the terrifying consequences. They quickly shut their mouths. At this moment, a figure walked out from the darkness. It was shrouded in a wide black robe. She was tall and slender, but judging from her figure, she was clearly a woman. Master! When they saw her, all the black-clothed men were startled and quickly bowed. Have you found the ancient devil ring? A gentle and pleasant voice sounded. Reporting to your excellency, Sui Qi, who was the first to take the ancient devil ring, is dead. Chu Yun, who was the first to find Sui Qi, is also dead. Looking at the wounds on Sui Qi and the dead woman, it seems that they were both killed by Chu Yun. But Chu Yun is also dead. Someone must have killed him and taken the ancient devil ring. A black-clothed man said. Who dares to steal from the myriad demon sect? The woman's voice turned cold as she stretched out her jade-like hand. This was a pair of jade-white, slender, jade-like hands, a pair of jade-like hands that were so beautiful that they seemed to be the work of God. Reversal! That jade-like hand gently waved. In the void, images began to appear one after another. These images were of what had happened before, including Chu Yun's sneak attack to kill Zhu Qi, then kicking Sun Yao to death, and then Lin Feng's appearance to kill Zhu Qi. This was really a heaven-defying secret technique that could restore the previous scene. That brat killed Zhu Qi and took the ancient devil ring. The group of black-clothed men looked murderous. He won't be able to get far. Chase him. The black-clothed woman took the lead and chased after him. The rest of the black-clothed men also quickly followed. In a valley dozens of miles away, Lin Feng was sitting cross-legged on a branch of a tree. He took out the ancient devil ring. It was a very strange ring. The ring was covered with dense runes. These runes looked like runes, but they were different from the runes Lin Feng had seen before. Furthermore, there was a dragon on top of the ring. It was a pitch-black dragon. When Lin Feng carefully looked at the dragon, he felt his heartbeat quicken. It was as if his heart was about to explode. Phew! Lin Feng quickly shifted his gaze away from the ring. He was panting heavily. This ancient devil ring was too strange. Lin Feng almost lost himself. What a frightening monster! Lin Feng looked at the ancient devil ring seriously. He tried to use his divine sense to enter the ring, but it was blocked. He couldn't enter the ring. Spirit. Soul. Contract. Open. Ancient. Devil. Ring. Lin Feng said. Just as Lin Feng was frowning slightly, an ancient, mysterious, and cold voice resounded in his mind. Who's talking to me? Lin Feng shouted. He looked around suspiciously. Finally, his gaze landed on the ancient devil ring. Spirit. Soul. Innate. Gift. Barely. Fit. Open. Activate. Ancient. Devil. Ring. Suddenly, the voice resounded again. What the F***CK? This young master is a peerless genius, yet you say that this young master barely qualifies? Are you blind? Lin Feng shouted. Open. 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 Drip. Blood. Drip. Blood. The voice sounded a little hurried. Open your ass! Lin Feng rolled his eyes. This ancient devil ring was definitely an extremely evil and strange treasure. Lin Feng felt like he had lost himself after looking at it for a while. Moreover, what kind of soul contract was this? Just the name of the contract was scary enough. Although Lin Feng didn't know what a soul contract was or what the contents of the contract were, the soul was the origin of a person. Once the soul was connected to something else, such as a soul contract, it was very likely that the soul would be controlled by someone else. A soul contract. Does it mean that the person who signed it has to be enslaved? Lin Feng frowned. What kind of rubbish is this? I don't care. Lin Feng threw the ring away. Then, he leaned against a tree to rest. However, the ancient devil ring trembled slightly before disappearing. In the next moment, an image of the ancient devil ring appeared on Lin Feng's left arm. However, even Lin Feng himself didn't know about it. Swish. 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 One figure after another flashed through the darkness. Lin Feng opened his eyes and looked at the black-clothed people. His expression changed slightly. The aura of these people was very similar to that of the devil cultivator he had killed. Moreover, these people all had terrifying auras. Darkness evasion. Lin Feng used darkness evasion to hide himself. Kid, so this is where you were hiding? Suddenly, one of the black-clothed people sneered. He held a blood-red saber in his hand and slashed towards Lin Feng's hiding place. What? You found me? Lin Feng's expression suddenly changed. He took out the black dragon sword and slashed. Clang! Clang! Lin Feng was blown away. He was holding the black dragon sword with both hands. Lin Feng looked at his hands and realized that his palms were bleeding from the impact of the sword. So strong! Lin Feng was shocked. He wanted to quickly flee, but at that moment, one figure after another flew over and completely surrounded Lin Feng. Each of these people's auras was stronger than the last. Lin Feng's expression became extremely serious. Lin Feng knew that he was in big trouble. These black-clothed people were too strong. If he wasn't careful, he could die here.